Well, welcome back. We're going to be continuing with Pana souvenir slides. Let me let somebody in here. Um, as we mentioned, I think the last time we did this was 2 weeks ago. The Pana are the slides show, sold in these plastic folders. This one happens to be Walt Disney's Nature Series, The Living Desert. So they did mostly travel type things, but Disney, of course, being everywhere. You could buy pictures here of bobcats. I mean, we can make Wayne feel at home like here, red-tailed hawk and rattlesnakes. Actually, we have all this crap here. So anyway, the slides are generally great, except they turn red. As a matter of fact, looking at this, they're all bright, bright red because they used Kodacolor or other films that were cheaper to do, which were great at the time, but over the years they turned red. Luckily, with the computer, you can bring most of them back. The only ones I find are real hard to work on. The first set of the Panaviews were sold in cardboard uh, mounts. All these in these plastic things you're seeing for the most part are done with plastic mounts, and they happily tell you that this is GAF Panaview slides. Panaview went through a bunch of owners. When it was the Sawyer's company at the very beginning with the cardboard slides, some of those have really faded, and all you can do is say, okay, I'm leave it in sepia or black and white or something. But let me get here with the first batch for today, which is going to be very timely for today because we're going to be looking at we're in New England and we're looking at fall colors. So out here in LA, we don't get much of this. Carol and I were back in New York a couple of weeks ago, and the trees were just starting to turn. It was just early enough in the season that there were some splashes of color, but we're going to have to live vicariously through these. Now, again, this was sold as New England. It could be anywhere in New England. If anybody happens to know it and say, "I know exactly where that river is," please let me know. So in New York right now, there's a massive drought underway, and it's been fascinating. The fall foliage is about 3 weeks ahead of its normal schedule in New York because the drought has been so bad. But I was just showing Carol a picture yesterday, Lake Champlain, and Don probably has seen some of this. Lake Champlain is down about 17 feet, and there
Yep.
are islands that are now connected to the mainland because it's gone down so much. They had to actually shut the ferry down because there wasn't enough water for the ferry to run.
Yeah, that's the one I ride Ticonderoga. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyway, outside in my house today, everything is still green, so I can just whoops, uh, live through these. I think I mentioned in a prior talk, I loved when I lived up in upstate New York or over in Pittsfield in the Berkshires, except during fall foliage season, because everybody would drive at 10 miles an hour and you have to get around them, or you'd be stopped for a traffic light or something. And everybody, look, Martha, that one's really red. Pow. So the body shops, I think, in the Berkshires do 90% of their business related to fall foliage. So a big mountain, no idea where this is. So we leave this one was called Colorful New England. Now we're going to go to New England foliage. This was sort of what Carol and I had when we were back there. Most of the hills were still green, but there'd be a yellow or a red one. It sort of looks like the view of my brother's house near the Finger Lakes. We got up in the morning, lots of real low clouds. Looks like the drought got early in this one.
Huh.
I was just saying to Carol, I think it was yesterday, the Whiteface Mountain got snow on it, and they said it's enough that it's going to stick and probably be there for the rest of the year. So yesterday was 86 out here. It's still hard for me to remember why I moved here.
Yeah, we got snow at Mount Mansfield last night too.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah.
Well, now we're going to go to New Hampshire. We only have a couple from there. This is an area called Franconia Notch. It's a great little glen water flowing through it and a pretty little area. And notch. It's just a little thing in the mountains. Down below here, this is Echo Lake. Looks like a ski runs over to the right. And you can go up to the top in an aerial tramway. So these are generally sold in sets of 5. A couple of times they were sold in sets of 4, but sometimes when you get them and they're mixed in with other people's slides, you end up with just 2 or 3 of them. So we're going to go and visit Atlantic City, New Jersey now as we continue our alphabetical tour around the country. So the convention hall here.
Mhm.
And we got a nice view of the boardwalk here. The top slide is labeled Boardwalk Promenade. And we can come down here and see what the home for 30 years. Let's see, something home, Wagon
Boss for 30 years.
for 30 years. South Jersey Motor Company. Wonder if they're still around. But
Is there a date on these?
no, these slides are all undated, but this
Okay,
would be
Mike.
50s or late
Looks like in the
50s, early 60s.
1950s, I'd guess. Doesn't look
Yeah,
like
it's
that.
1959. That's a 1959 Ford, I believe.
Mhm.
And that
Boardwalk is totally
billboard,
different now.
and they wouldn't be advertising an older car, and they wouldn't have an
Yeah.
older car on a newer one. So
Yeah.
It's the Traymore Hotel at the top left with that dome. That's been demolished since the early 70s.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow, really?
Yeah, most of what you see there is substantially changed.
Oh, I imagine so. Once gambling came to town, I imagine a lot of
You
this
know, all
stuff
these
was
buildings
just
are all gone.
And we have the famous pier.
Nothing's gonna appear.
Gone too.
Yep, the steel pier. This is where the tire, merry-go-round, Ferris wheel rather, from the 64 World's Fair ended up going out here without the tire, but just the ride part was here at this one for a while. And again, if you want to start dating these things, you can say, okay, we have a big thing that the Kingston Trio, Sammy Kaye's in town. You could probably actually go back to a old newspaper and try to figure out, when Sammy Kaye played the steel pier.
It's before 1962, I'll tell you that.
Why did he die then?
No, the center of that pier was demolished in a nor'easter storm in 62. Between the Coca-Cola sign and the steel pier ballroom, the center section fell down in March 62.
Oh, wow. Okay. Good
A
to know.
big nor'easter, a ship collided with it. It broke loose of its moorings and rammed the pier.
Ouch.
That picture is taken from the roof of Haddon Hall. I've climbed up there and got that same shot.
No kidding. Wow. It's great that people can recognize some of these things and fill us in. Did you ever eat at Hackney's?
I did. That burned down too. You used to see 1,000 people inside there at one time. It burned to the
Wow.
ground. And
You're
then they
dating
rebuilt it.
yourself.
The knife and fork's still there.
Irv, you're sounding like a jinx.
No, I lived around there. I lived there. I knew that area very, very well.
yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I'm never going to invite Irv to my house because either a storm or a fire will break out after he leaves.
Well, I just know what happens to these places.
The last time I had Irv at my house,
Steeplechase
we got hit
beer
by
is
a
long
ship.
gone too.
No, I was saying the last time I had Irv at my house, we got hit by a ship. So
You didn't.
down
They were on
here,
land.
here's a good one. Ripley presents a free exhibit of Russian automobiles.
Yeah. They also have a General Motors exhibit in there.
Yep.
I didn't know, must have been back when they were touring things.
This
Yeah,
is
GM had a
store. I
great
think
exhibit.
it
You could
was-
sit in all the new cars.
Yeah, I think it was there for, an ongoing thing.
Wow.
That was a permanent exhibit, General Motors.
Yeah.
They also had their Frigidaire appliances. That's
Well,
Lucy
here's
the
a-
Elephant. I've been there.
Oh, the elephant. It's still there.
Yeah,
Parts
They
of it.
picked it up and moved it a couple blocks.
Yeah, get it away from the water. But you can actually stay in it now.
That's
Imagine what
before
the
the
shape of those
restoration.
rooms- Imagine what the shape of those rooms must be like. Here, Doc.
Yeah.
There was,
You're in room
they had an
7.
elephant twice the size up in Coney Island, and that one burned down. This is the only remaining one. It was a hotel and a lodge for a while.
Yeah, being in the trunk would not be a good room.
No, no. Well, there's other end that might be worse.
Inside one of the back legs is a spiral stairway to get up inside the belly.
Crazy. World War I memorial.
That's the
Like
knife and
it.
fork in just to the right of it.
It's still there, right?
That's still there. It's in an
Mhm.
island in the middle of the main intersection. Knife and Fork Inn is just to the right of it. You can see the Flemish style roof on it.
We're gonna spend a bunch of time for New York City. You can imagine being for tourism. They put out a whole bunch of slides for this. So we'll see if how much of it's Don recognizes from his trip. But at this point in time, we're looking at the world's tallest building. When you
Mhm.
restore some of these, as I said, they're really red. You try to bring things back, but when you get to something like this, there's not a lot of other colors other than buildings. You know,
Yeah.
so you get the river
Yes.
has a little bit of blue to it, but the rest of it is all kind of monochromatic.
You
Great.
notice how small the surrounding buildings are in that picture, Bill? Wonder if the neighbors complain about having such a tall building in that neighborhood with the lower buildings.
Back then when it was built, you could do anything you wanted and nobody complained.
But
Looking
yeah,
up
you
at
can,
the
Look
television,
at Robert Moses. Look at what he did.
That was
But
the
you-
original site of the Waldorf Astoria Hotel.
was it? And
Mhm.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
tore
it
down the
was.
Waldorf and
built-
built the Empire State.
What's amazing is this entire thing was built in a year.
yeah,
That's right. Right. During the Depression.
Yeah. Uh, don't know if I ever mentioned a prior talk, but my grandfather was a New York City battalion chief, fire department, and he had a whole bunch of roles and responsibilities. But one of the things he did for a period of time was postmortems on events that how could the fire department do better. So when they managed to sink the Normandy at the dock, my grandfather was part of the team that came in and how did it sink and how do we keep it from happening again. But he was part of the crew that did an investigation when the B-25 hit the Empire State Building.
yeah.
He had this amazing file, which all the pictures of the elevators that collapsed and everything else. I don't know, and he had the Black Tom explosion, fantastic stuff. I'm hoping one of my cousins still has all this stuff, but you know, you can imagine the B-25 flying. He was over here, he'd be okay. Over here, he'd be okay. And what luck you have when you smack into it. And
You
the
know,
building survived.
if you have that, if your cousins have it and they can duplicate it, I know a few firemen who definitely would love to see that.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to ask him. So I'll also ask him about some other stuff that he had that I'm trying to figure out where it went. But yeah, it was all the interviews with the survivors and the biggest problem with the loss of life in it was it hit a Catholic Charities office, which luckily at the time of night was not a big problem. But all the fuel ended up going down into the elevator shafts, and the people that were riding up and down the elevators didn't fare too well.
Was
How
that
note?
a picture of the United Nations there in the background?
Yeah,
Top?
right. Yeah,
Right,
over
yeah.
here. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. You can see the Chrysler building too.
Now you can go up, whoops,
There's the
Oh,
Chrysler
Con-
building.
Chrysler building, yeah.
Yep.
But
Every
you can
time I
go
see-
up in this, oh, we're back.
No, one second. When I hear the Chrysler building, every time I hear it, I think of Miss Hannigan. I want to dump the sign at the top of the Chrysler building. Okay, Don, you were saying you could go up here.
Yeah, they've opened this up in the last 10 years or so. They charge you like $30 more for the privilege. But that ringed area, which is where they were supposed to dock the Zeppelins, that was the original plan. That ringed area is now just wall-to-wall windows all the way around. So you get a 360 view up there. And there are very few people up there. So it's a great place to go. They just charge you out the yin yang to get up there now. The observation deck most people know is down where this photo was taken.
Right.
And so, but you can go all the way up to the base of the radio towers now.
Great, and you can enjoy your radiation bath while you're up there.
Yep.
And the silhouette of the tallest building.
I always thought if they were going to dock a blimp up there, how do you get off the blimp?
They had a staircase that came down into this level here, right below the antenna. And it basically came down a staircase, and they would the blimp would move a bit, but just like when you're getting off a pier, you know, a small dock that may be floating and moves around a bit, and
No.
I would, for one, not want to do that at all. Not in
There must be
any
some
circumstance.
staircase.
There are pictures of it, but boy, the railings on it are not nearly high enough in my world. I mean, and the winds, yeah, they finally had to stop because the winds were just too much of a challenge to hold the blimp
Yeah.
still.
After 100 years, it's still a very modern looking building.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see in this one now, when you have more colors to work with, the greens and stuff, you can start bringing them back more. The computer has something it can recognize and help with. Looking
Oh.
south from the Empire State Building.
Boy, that skyline has changed.
Oh my God, yeah.
At the Flatiron Building there at the bottom.
Yes.
Yeah.
And again, despite the fact these things were mass produced, you can get some pretty good details out of them. So here you can see the Bank for Savings, 4th Avenue. You know, you can start picking things up. If you guys can figure out the cars down there, you're doing better than I can.
I was going to say, Bill, don't ask me to identify any car in that picture.
See how every building had water towers.
Yeah.
Yep.
A lot still do.
Yeah, for the
Yeah.
water pressure, right?
Can't pump water that high without a tower.
Now, if you're from New York, you may get a real kick out of these pictures. We're at Kennedy Airport. I think it was actually called Idlewild when these were taken. But there's, I was just talking to somebody who said, "Oh, were you in New York? Were they rebuilding JFK?" And I said, "When haven't they ever been rebuilding JFK?" So you go there now, and there's all big signs about say goodbye to the 1990s. We're finally moving into the future. So back then, you go out to the airport, there were all these fountains. There was a chapel that people could go to. There were all these visiting lounges. You could go and you know, tour the airport. This was American Airlines. This was a wonderful facade when you came by. It was all lit up from inside. But in a recent remodeling, unfortunately, all gone.
Oh,
So here, you guys can try those cars.
Let's see.
Chevrolet in the back.
yeah. it's a
Red.
Chevy.
Now, is that a Chevrolet or a Chrysler? I think that's a Chrysler.
Dodge. I think it's a Dodge.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean, a Chrysler product. It's not a GM. That doesn't look right
It's a
for
Plymouth in
GM
the
front
front, maybe a
ends.
Plymouth in the front.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think it is.
You know,
The most amazing
Yeah.
thing is actually places to park.
Did they have an observation deck?
Yep, they had him. You paid a quarter. You went out up on the roof, and you could watch the airports for quite a thing.
Yeah.
So you got a Cadillac and a Mercury is the next one in line. That red one, I think is a Chevrolet. These all look like 59s. Yeah, that's the 59 Chevrolet with the big wing and had the cat eye. And that
Yeah,
middle one's a Mercury with that rear slanted back window that they used for a while.
I'm trying to figure out which of the car all this luggage is going to fit in, but
Oh, that's
They
the
had
old Pan Am.
huge trunks.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Pan Am, you know, again, all gone now, torn down a couple of years ago. But this was a real modern looking building for its period of time.
Well, the idea on that one was the planes could taxi right up and they'd be covered by that circular roof, so you didn't have to you didn't get wet.
Oh,
So yeah, but that one and the TWA terminal were built around the same time frame, but this one wasn't built as well. So it was they finally they were trying to keep it, but it was such a mess they finally had to tear it down. But that was very modern for its time.
so the international arrivals area down here. Again, if we zoom in on it, you can see we're getting modern. We've now put jetways into the airports. That was such
Yeah.
a big thing. I guess you didn't need to worry about getting wet at that point in time.
Mhm.
It looks like some planes, though, we're still come down the stairs because there's no jetway over here.
Yep, jetways were still in use on some. I think the TWA terminal was the first to use the jetways.
We're going to get jetways next year for the first time in Burbank.
Really?
Yep. And they're building a whole new terminal. And I just read yesterday they're going to have the first flight from Burbank. It's going to go to Maui. It's a seasonal flight, but they will make it a lot easier to get to Hawaii. So we're out to Ellis Island, not Ellis Island, Liberty Island now. We're enlightening the world here.
Wow.
Yep.
That's what the view from the torch.
Yeah.
that was,
Yeah.
not anymore.
Yeah, this particular one, I got a kick. Her head is sticking out. I may have mentioned we took a trip there years ago. I think I was about 9 years old or so. My dad took us out. We climbed all the way up. and the windows in the crown were so dirty and so grimed that if the window was I don't know 8 inches by 5 inches, you got a 2-inch spot in the middle where you could try to see something out of it.
Yeah.
Mail call.
That's like the small window in the Washington Monument. You can't see anything above there.
Now they had closed the porch off. Sorry, Carol's getting the mail. 1 second. Getting a bunch of packages today.
More pictures, more
I don't,
reels.
do they
Bill.
allow those windows to open anymore? When we
I-
went up there, everything was closed. I mean, it was solid.
Yeah,
you know,
I'm
I
sure
don't
this
remember
is
them
just
opening.
done for the picture. But that back when we took the thing, there was a little walkway off to the side with just a tiny little chain across it that said no entry. And my brother said, "What's over there?" I said, "I think that's how you get to the torch." My
Mhm.
father turns around. There's my brother Jim under the chain going up this walkway up to the torch. Yeah, my dad was not happy. Now there's a giant steel gate that you can't get through to get up there. But Jim thought
Did he make it up to the top of the torch?
he did not get all the way up because my father made him come back. So, but he was certainly trying his best.
Was a once in a lifetime chance.
Hey, Bill, getting back to Burbank, are they extending any of the runways?
Oh no, the runways are going to be just as much fun as they are today.
Oh, geez.
Matter of fact, one of the reasons they had to move the new terminal was that for the last probably 30 years they've been operating under a waiver that the terminals or the existing terminals are too close to the runways, and they're really concerned that if a plane came on off the runway, it would go right smack dab through the terminal. So when Lockheed moved out and they had all this super fun land that you can't do much of anything on because they left 50 years worth of chemicals in the ground, they've done a whole bunch of remediation. They're building the new terminal off to the side, so it's going to be a good safer distance from the airport, from the runways. But just a couple of days ago, the paper comes up with, do you remember when? And it was Southwest Airlines had gotten there and had not hit the brakes enough. They went right through the fence at the end of the runway, went out onto Hollywood Way, and ended up with their nose in a gas station. So Burbank is still it's still going to be the same runways.
But how do you think they got this shot?
Helicopter.
Well, it seems awfully close to the arm.
Well, you could also have a
Uses
telephoto
telephoto
lens
lens.
out of a helicopter. No, I mean, unless they did a hot air balloon or something, but you can see
well, today it'd be a drone.
yeah, today it'd be a drone. You can see somebody has taken a picture, who's ever taken a picture. And you can take your Circle Line, the Statue of Liberty boat out here and go visit it. Again, maybe that one and this one were taken from at the same spot with different lenses. And you can look back at the battery at night. Here comes Miss Circle Line taking you out there. Hey,
Most people don't realize that the pedestal was built on top of Fort Wood, that star-shaped fort.
yeah. Well, there you
See
go.
the fort?
Yep.
Mhm.
That was a fort.
You remember the original name for the island?
No.
Bedloe.
Bedloe's Island. Bedloe's Island.
And one of the ways they built it, and one of the ways they did a refurbishment, was that they built a temporary causeway out from New Jersey, so they could
That's
get all
right.
the workmen and everything out to the island. So that's created a big controversy from the state of New Jersey. Is this actually in New York or is it in New Jersey? So
It's in New Jersey.
I think the courts ruled it was New York.
They could have left that causeway and eliminated the ferry crossing.
Yeah, but for I guess harbor traffic and everything else and maintaining it. Also for security point of view, imagine it's a lot better.
So was that a natural island that was out there in the first place?
Yes,
Yeah.
but
Okay.
expanded by some fill.
Okay.
Now we're gonna go visit New York City at night. So we see the Empire State Building lit up. again, here's a view that Don may have had from his hotel. You probably
That would have cost a little extra to have that view.
You can
All the
tell,
hotel rooms in New York tend to be on the small side.
yeah. You can date this one though. Here's the Unisphere and Castro convertible, although they had nothing to do with the World's Fair, had a big sign here for the 2 years of the fair about how you could sleep in comfort after your days at the fair. So, but yeah, that dates us to the 64, 65 realm.
Yeah,
Also,
look at the,
modern things are coming up like the Toshiba sign over here. We're out of the 50s firmly into the 60s.
Yeah.
that's interesting. The Admiral television. I think we had an Admiral at one time
Yeah.
back in the
They,
50s.
Admiral was an interesting company. They found a way to make decent, but not necessarily top line products. And I met an engineer while I was at Motorola who had been at Admiral, and he said their instructions from engineering management was copy RCA.
Really,
Yeah.
Hmm.
from the RCA building, as I said, sometimes you just have to live with red. And here we get back down to Times Square. Okay, so for tonight, we can go and go shopping over here at the Bond store and pick up a suit of clothes. We can go down and see My Fair Lady, the best picture of the year. And we can make our reservations on Braniff or so again, 64, 65 here. The brand new at that point in time Verrazano Bridge. Allied Chemical, the white line going around the base of it was the ticker tape, the electronic ticker tape, giving you all the latest news and everything that was going on. Back down to the ground. Let's see. Don't drink the water. Okay. I think that was a Broadway play at that time.
Woody Allen movie.
Oh, was it Woody Allen movie? Okay.
Yeah, that was a movie. I don't know if it was Woody Allen.
I
Now,
think it was.
this one, I don't know the year. We'd have to look that up, but you can notice the Unisphere is now gone off the Castro convertible sign, and it's just one of their convertible couches. Over to the left, Horn and Hardit, the Automat. If people are Automat fans, I keep seeing on my Facebook feed all the time that there's a book about the Automat just re-released for the first time in 25 or 30 years or something. I keep telling myself I do not need it. I do not need it. And
I
then,
just got it actually.
oh, did you? Is it a good book?
I did. Yeah, it is. It is. It's a little small, but I had seen that Automat documentary a couple years ago and really enjoyed it. And at that time, the book was sold out, and I would occasionally see a copy on eBay, but they were just ridiculously expensive. So I was very excited when they re-released it.
Yeah, we used to love the Automat. My dad would about every other month or so take my brothers into the city with him on a Saturday to give my mother a break, frankly. And he had membership at the Downtown Athletic Club, which we could go swimming at, which we thought it was the greatest thing. It was like the pool was on the 9th or 10th floor, something like that. And to be thinking of all that water over all those people down below always amazed me. But then we would go to the Automat, depending on the weather. If the weather was really nice, we'd go out to Coney Island and we stop at Nathan's and go out there. But if the weather wasn't nice, we'd go to the Automat. And I just thought the Automat was the coolest thing. For the people that don't know it, it was basically banks of little machines with windows, and it'd be a piece of pie. And it would say like apple pie, 10 cents. And you drop your dime in, and that would unlock the door. You'd open out, take out your piece of pie, close the door, and then the thing would rotate and another piece of pie would come in. And there was somebody back behind the scenes that as soon as it sold a piece of pie, they would put another piece of pie in. And to us, we just thought this was the greatest thing in the world. Why couldn't we get one of these at home? Every time you open the thing, it gives you a piece of pie. And we had no concept of, everybody working behind the scenes. But it was really great because, my dad would give us $1 or something and say, you can spend it on anything you want. But you can't have 22 pieces of pie, that sort of thing. But you go down and you get a bowl of stew or soup or that sort of thing, and it was really a neat thing. One kick
Yeah.
out this one here, Krakatoa, east of Java, which if everybody knows, Krakatoa is actually west of Java.
That was 1968.
Yep.
Great, okay. Down below this one, the little marquee here, they're showing the sterile cuckoo.
Oh,
So
You know, it's that hearted automat, mostly just nickels.
and
If you
that's it.
handle enough nickels, your hands would get dirty from the dirty nickels.
my
And
dad,
the coffee dispensers in the wall.
yeah,
Yeah,
those
everything with a nickel.
I guess I used to have problems with people who would go in and during the Depression, they put a nickel in, get hot water, get ketchup, and make tomato soup.
Mhm.
And then they take the free crackers with it,
Yeah.
Yep.
with the free
And salt and
crackers.
pepper to season. Yep. That's pretty common.
Yep, yep.
Everywhere.
It looks like we've lost the what you call it, Castro convertible sign, and there's something here for something's new hit.
Hmm.
Yes.
America's best filter. It's a cigarette ad. Okay.
Yeah.
Then we go inside Grand Central Station. These pictures up on the wall there were giant transparencies, which were the forerunners to the one that came out of the 64 World's Fair. But evidently it was quite an honor if you were a photographer to get your picture put up here inside of Grand Central Station. You can see in this, and here we will zoom in on a little bit. Action camera, Kodak color film. So again, it's lost most of the color in this particular one. But down below, they would actually bring in cars, so you guys can have your ways with this one.
Yeah, I was just there as well. And I can tell you the crowds are a little heavier now.
Yeah, yeah, a little heavier. Here's another view. Again, no car this time, but now we get the Taj Mahal.
This is actually a more typical one because they have some wonderful view, but they always had somebody in the view taking a picture.
Right. Now in this one, if you notice down below, it's the Kodak Exhibit Center. If we go back to this one, it was an investment banking thing of some time. So be interested to know if Kodak came in or went out or whatever the years were. And the United Nations, the skyline from the East River. The UN and the Chrysler Building. So we'll say goodbye to this one here.
That's how they kept the offices all lit up at night too, wasting electricity.
Oh, absolutely.
Just empty offices all lit up.
And we visit now the Brooklyn Bridge. If you've been in New York and you haven't walked across the Brooklyn Bridge, you're really missing something. Carol and I have done it twice now. But it's really a great view of walking across and going down. I mentioned, I think on a prior talk, that my great-great-great-great-grandfather fell off one of these towers and got killed. But I don't know if
Wow.
the east or the west tower, but it's kind of a weird feeling to walk over there and think about, whoa, that would have been bad. But
There were a lot of deaths.
When those towers were built, they were about the highest structures in the world when they built those towers.
yeah,
Mhm.
building them was quite a challenge. They had to go and sink them down into the river, and that's when they discovered something called caisson disease, which we call
Yeah,
the
the
bends
bends.
now.
Yes.
They'd have to put air under pressure to keep the chambers empty as the guys were lining them with all the bricks and everything. And they came back up, they would get embolisms and die. So there's a big story about how Roebling was getting sick, and he was watching them build the towers using a telescope from an apartment in Brooklyn. Then when he died, his wife had to take over and get it done. But she had to do it in total secrecy because nobody would ever have felt comfortable going over a bridge that was built by a woman. So
Yep.
Bill,
yeah,
it was originally his son who took over, and his wife took over for him.
oh, okay,
And the Brooklyn Tower is on a solid bedrock. The Manhattan Tower is not. They were never able to hit bedrock with that tower. my former boss had a whole presentation on the construction because we were doing hyperbarics.
Hmm.
And some of the weird stories, like when the horses or the mules would come up after being under pressure, they would die and they didn't know what to do with them. So eventually it brought in a butcher and they would feed all the workers, the horses and the mules. That was one of the bizarre stories. But yes, a lot of workers got killed from Caisson's disease,
Yeah,
now called the bends.
if you read the book, The Great Bridge by McCulloch, he goes and talks about all the people that died on the building of the bridge. And he says, then they came to a period of relative safety where nobody died for almost 30 days until a steel cable snapped and took a workman named McCann to his death. And the book makes it sound like he fell to the ground and died instantly. My grandmother said, no, he lasted about 2 days, every bone in his body broken. And, you know, back then, you know, you didn't have insurance. They just sent you home, you know. So she said she remembered vividly. Now, years ago, they redid the one of the cables on the Brooklyn Bridge, and they
Yes.
cut it up into small pieces. And my grandmother bought each of us a piece, so I still have a piece of the cable. But to date it, they sold it in the Abraham and Strauss stores. Remember A&S? And
Sure.
they came in a little folder, little piece of the cable.
Which cable was that, Bill? Was that the main suspenders or the vertical cable?
Beats me. They weren't too specific on what they were selling.
I don't think you could take off those main cables easily.
They
There
were
was
in
the
sections.
support cables were the ones that were replaced, not
Yeah.
the mains.
Yeah.
The vertical
Right.
suspenders.
The main cables, they media blasted, and then they epoxied in place a resin around the entire cable from tower to the borough, and that's how they were able to save those cables. The other support cables, they couldn't be saved, so a number of them had to be taken out.
All right. Well, I've got one here at home if they ever need it back. George Washington Bridge was again, if you look at his big steel, big stone pillars, George Washington Bridge was originally supposed to be clad in stone. It was built with a steel framework, but it was supposed to be clad in stone, and they decided they didn't have the money to do it, so they left it this particular way. My grandfather, the one who was the fire chief, never gave, he always loved to give me a hard time about my becoming an engineer, because he said at age 8, when they started making the bridge a double deck bridge, because it was originally built as a single deck bridge. And he said when I would go out there and watch, and I'd solemnly shake my head and swear that the double deck bridge was never going to work. And I just proclaimed great doom. Every time I drive over that, I keep hoping I was wrong. But he used to just have the greatest fun at my expense. He was a great guy. I really loved him. But he was, I'd come home to visit from college. And he goes, did you drive over your bridge, Bill?
But the stone cladding would have protected the steel from saltwater corrosion.
Yeah, now this is one of those bridges again. By the time they finish painting this one, it's time to start back on the other side. That's why the toll is so damn high in this thing. I mean, Carol and I, you know, we were just back there, and you look at some of the bridges, and $18 or something to go across them.
That's right.
That's round trip, yes, and it's terrible.
Yeah, it's ouch. The Whitestone Bridge, which I've only frankly gone over maybe half a dozen times in my life. The Throgs Neck was always so much closer and easier to go through. But when we were coming back on this last trip, there was some major snafu on the Throgs Neck. So the GPS said, "Oh, we got you a better way." And I said, "Oh, okay." They look pretty much the same to me, but you know, we made it over.
Those tolls aren't the worst part of going to New York. You have to pay a fee for driving in Lower Manhattan now to discourage
Yeah.
traffic.
Luckily,
Yes,
Congestion fee. Oh,
Yeah,
it's terrible.
that's not cheap either.
no, it's one less reason to drive in New York anyway. Yuck.
Yeah, we took the train in.
Verrazano Narrows Bridge. may have mentioned on a prior trip that the two ships collided one night. One of them was carrying something called naphtha, which is very flammable. And we were coming along in New Jersey, and we were planning. We've gone over to Staten Island. We were planning on taking the bridge back over, but the flames from the ship were so high they were up to the bridge, and they had to close the bridge, and we had to take quite a detour to get back off Staten Island to finally get home. But they decided that the bridge had not been damaged by the flames, but they had to stop all the traffic over it. You remember that one, Scott?
Yes, vividly. That was one of two wrecks by the Verrazano. The other was a tanker collision in the channel to the right of the photo, about 1 mile near Hoffman Island. In fog, two tankers collided, and there was an explosion on one tanker, and there was a fire for about 2 days until the container with oil on board burnt out. The fire department determined they couldn't put the fire out. They were just going to let it burn itself out. And that
Wow.
was in the late 70s, if I remember right.
Well,
I remember the naphtha bridge. I remember that fire.
yeah,
That was a nightmare.
that was a pretty spectacular one. Now, before the bridge opened, this was all ferry service, so getting over to Staten Island was a royal pain in the butt. You'd line up for block after block after block waiting to get on the ferries. They all closed 24 hours later after the bridge opened. But again, I mentioned my dad was actually in the shipping business. He was a marine insurance agent, and
Ooh.
he was talking about that this bridge was really needed, and he liked to have fun with us. We were saying, like, again, we didn't want to wait for the ferries, and he says, "Oh no, it's all the collisions that happen out here with all the boats." And we said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Oh, you never heard about the coconut shipment?" And we said, "No, what do you mean?" He goes, "Oh, these two ships collided, and one of them split open, and it dropped 10,000 coconuts into the water." And it was just total made up story, but we were just, because now we're waiting for the ferry, to get over there, and he's like, "Oh, keep an eye out, because there's still coconuts popping up all these days." So it kept us all engaged as we were waiting for the line, waiting for the ferry.
Those towers are so high that they're perfectly vertical, but they're not parallel to account for the curvature of the earth.
Yep, absolutely good point.
And
They're
they
about a
swing.
1/4 inch apart and parallel. Yeah, they're vertical, but they're not parallel.
And
Yeah,
they swing. Please.
Yeah, sure they would.
now we're
Uh,
taking New York City tour number 2. We get to look at the United Nations architecture.
Uh,
By now, we all, of course, know where we're looking. Looking down at
St.
St.
Patrick's.
Patrick's Cathedral. And there again, the George Washington Bridge.
With the lower deck.
Yep.
It'll never work.
Yeah, it will never work. Yeah, it's actually funny you say that, because when they did the what you call it, the Disney Channel did their thing, Disney Plus, behind the attractions, and I'm on about, I think, 4 of the first 8 episodes, but they would take things totally out of context. So I talked about Space Mountain. I talked about things that I worked on, but there's a show comes up on the Jungle Cruise, and there's a shot of me. They're talking about doing something, and I'm there and go, "Well, that will never work." My son still likes to walk by me. I'm doing something like fixing something, in the house or something. He'll walk by and say, "That will never work." But when I was watching that show and it popped up, first of all, I didn't talk about that at all, but I just had the flashback to my grandfather. Very fun. So I guess I've always been a pessimist. That will never. So we're looking at Radio City Music Hall, the glory of Easter. They used to do several of these shows a year. They had a big Christmas show, of course, an Easter show, a summer patriotic type show. So if you've never been to Radio City Music Hall, it's quite the place. The Rockettes still do some shows there, but nothing of the ilk that they used to do. With this has all sorts. The stage is an absolutely amazing piece of machinery with lifts and turntables, and they give a tour of it, which I think is pretty expensive. I don't know if anybody here has ever taken it, but it's on my list to go do. nativity pageant. Again, this is all Radio City. And the famous Rockettes. That's a whole bunch of them. I think the shows today probably about half that number.
You have to be a certain height to be qualified as one of those dancers.
Yep,
You
can't
can't be short.
too tall, too high. If you go through it, they're
At least
all
5'7".
aren't they?
Yeah, yeah.
And for uniformity, of course, back then, everybody's white. And as I said, they did all sorts of patriotic things. So we're doing a tribute to the Statue of Liberty. But this was all pretty spectacular when all of a sudden these things would rise up from the pit down below. And see if we can find out what's playing at Radio City today. Let's see. Oh, okay. The yellow Rolls Royce.
Why do they call it Radio City?
Used to do radio shows from there back in the days before TV.
That's
Is that a
Rockville,
relation?
right across.
Is there a relation to Television City then in LA?
Yeah, we had Television City in LA.
Was there a relation between Radio City and Television City?
Nope. Nope.
Nope.
None at all. So here's some classic cars for you guys. This one here, would this be a Chevy Impala?
That's a Chevy Impala. That
Oh.
was 60 or 60. I think it was 1960.
My first car ever was a 1960 Chevy Impala, so I thought I recognized it.
Yeah.
Hardtop or convertible? Mhm.
Hardtop.
Ah,
What was
top
it?
goes down, price goes up.
Mine was given to me as a hand-me-down by my grandparents, and the car was great, except if you rode in any sort of weather, the brakes didn't work at all. But mine was a automatic, and there's a guy I worked with at the Boy Scout camp. His transmission went out, and he put in a manual, and the two cars looked the same. But my car key would start his car. His key would not start my car. So every now and then I'd be sound asleep in my bed. He'd wake me up. I lock my keys in the car again. Here, go get the car. But it was just really weird that the keys are that similar. But yeah.
What's the car in front of the Beetle?
That's either Ford or Mercury station wagon, the old Woody style. The fake Woody style that they used to have. We had one like that when I was a kid.
So let's go. We finished New York.
The Volkswagen's worth more than the other car now.
Oh yeah.
Real quick, sometimes it would take a picture and sell it in multiple sets. So we saw this one before. Different view.
That's a different view. Yeah.
Pre-World Trade Center, obviously.
And Irv, I looked up why the lights are on in the buildings in downtown New York City.
For the cleaning crew at night?
Yeah, cleaning crew, just for aesthetics and also for security.
Well, there's another reason it might be. I know this is true in LA, and I would assume in New York, and that is
To heat the building.
they wanted the buildings to keep a certain amount of lights on because power generation, you had there were critical levels of being able to keep the if you drop below a certain point, you were generating more electricity than you could use. And so that it allowed them to even out their use of, weren't taking things on and offline constantly.
Oh, that's
Sure.
Yeah.
Plus in the winter, it heats the building.
Yeah.
A little. They're also saying that they're trying to switch everything to LED and do that less, for light pollution, that they're trying to talk these businesses into turning them off.
Mhm.
Anyway, sorry, I just looked it up real quick after you asked it, because I'm really curious about it too. You go to like China, Shanghai and Hong Kong and all, and their buildings are all light shows, right? They've got all these
That's right.
messages on them, and it's like going to a laser show or something really spectacular.
Yeah. Well, speaking of lasers, I don't know if people have seen it, but Disney's going to be doing away with the fireworks at the theme parks and going to a drone show. And they just did a test of it about 4 days ago up over the Golden Oak Ranch. And I mean, I'm disappointed because I like the bang and the boom and all of the fireworks.
Yeah.
What they were testing over at Golden Oak was pretty impressive. We live up that way, and people all of a sudden were running out taking pictures of it, everything. So Coming soon to a theme park near you.
Yep. We had a demonstration in downtown Salt Lake as well. It was
Okay,
really
so
cool.
I figure it's near.
Fireworks are really bad at pollution.
Oh yeah, but they're fun. So
They're
we're gonna
fun.
go upstate New York to prove that there is a point outside of upstate, outside of New York City, which 99% of the people can't seem to understand. We're off to Corning, New York, the Corning Glass Works.
I've been there.
Yeah, this is a really great spot to go to. We went to it back in the 60s, and I still remember some of the exhibits. They had a spring made out of glass, and it was going up and down with a machine that moved it, and they were talking about flexible glass, whatever
Wow.
it. But then they had the glass that they had made for the windows of the Mercury capsules were on display, all sorts of stuff. It's really fascinating. Carol and I went back there a number of years ago. If you go back there, I really, really recommend not buying any property in Corning, New York, because it floods in every couple of years. I mean, if anybody knows the area at all, the entire town just floods out. But it's kind of a fun spot. This was
You know, oh,
sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, with respect to the fireworks, you'll be able to tell your grandkids, well, back in my day.
Yeah, I know. The other day I was giving a talk about the Seattle World's Fair, and one of the things was a demonstration of touch tone phones versus rotary phones. And I said, when was the last time anybody actually dialed a rotary phone? So this was
They still work. Yeah.
yeah, they still work. 200-inch.
Some people don't even know how to use those phones today.
Yeah, this was made for a what you call it, telescope.
That's good.
I was going to say, if the kids today can't figure out how a non-digital clock works, a clock with hands, and how
Yeah.
to read it, how would they figure out how to use a dial phone?
They can't. They're also
They can't.
fascinated looking at typewriters. They don't know what a typewriter is.
No.
That mirror blank you showed was the first attempt that failed. You see places where there should be an open area, but there isn't, and it's because the fireproof blocks that were supposed to make that space came loose and floated up into the surface of the mirror and
Oh,
ruined
really?
it.
Wow.
Yeah.
So again,
That's
Corning is really
interesting.
neat. Down here they have the floor. This is called their Steuben glass factory, which does a lot of hand blowing of glass and everything. And you can come down and watch it. And I think there's other pictures of it close up of the guys doing it. But here we have a chemical glass plant, and they show you everything that how they can infuse it with chemicals. And what do we see in the background?
Mercury.
Mercury capsule.
Yeah.
Like I said, this was fascinating because they get in the last time we were there, I think it was still free, the whole factory tour. But they were talking again here how you just can't put glass in here because you had to keep radiation and everything out. So the whole talk was about how you mix chemicals in to make the glass transparent, but also not let bad stuff through.
Was that where they let the tourists blow glass?
What's that?
I remember letting us blow glass, but I can't remember if it was at Corning or somewhere
Yeah,
else.
they actually do let somebody come out and blow it, and then they make a
Yeah,
big
yeah.
joke about it. Remember, you blow, don't inhale.
That's
Yeah,
right. Don't
yeah.
inhale.
So that was
They
it.
told me,
Okay.
Yeah.
don't inhale.
So why didn't they use transparent aluminum for the windows on the Mercury capsule?
Well, Scotty, they had not yet invented it.
Oh,
So like I said, back then everything was big, for the space age.
And it would have oxidized too easy.
But again, if you get to go back there, it's a nice area. My brother doesn't live too far away from Corning these days. They have a
Yeah.
really nice museum in here of glass from all around the world, from all sorts of vintage. My kids got a
Totally.
really big kick out of it. There was a modern display, and it was industrial waste in glass heads. And again, I don't know why people come up with it, but all these glass heads, and it was full of all pieces of metal and stuff somebody dug out of the ruins of some building and filled up all these glass heads.
Huh.
But
Yeah, I remember going through there really well.
if you look here, you can see that, this one, Verzolini Goblet, 1577, 1583. So yeah, I mean, again, it's really a fascinating thing to go through. A glass bridge, they were connecting one of the old buildings to the new buildings, and being a glass company, they made a very nice walkway. Here's where we get ready for the glass blowing.
Bill,
Yeah,
for the longest time, Corning, for about 10 years, Corning collaborated with Celebrity Cruises to do glass blowing demonstrations on the top deck of their ships, of their Solstice class ships.
yeah,
They don't, I
Okay.
don't think they do it anymore, but it was pretty cool to go and watch.
we were
Yeah.
actually on one of the
I
ships.
went to one of those demonstrations.
Yeah. Yeah. I was just gonna say they did that in the ship we were on. That was the Alaska cruise, wasn't it, Carol?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it was on their larger Solstice class ships because I saw it on 2 of them when I was working aboard.
And lighting and fiberglass exhibits. Audio visual unit. Fiberglass play gym. So we will say goodbye to Corning. Like I said, if you're ever up in the area, it's a great spot.
actually, I think they sold the pieces at the end of the cruise
Yeah.
that they made there.
Yep. One of
Yeah,
my
they took the proceeds and donated it to charity. Yeah.
Yeah,
one of my favorite spots, Letchworth State Park. It's over on the western side of the state. It's called the Grand Canyon of New York. Almost every state, I think, has a Grand Canyon. I mean, we've been to Waimea, the Grand Canyon of Hawaii and everything. But this particular one, it's got quite the gorge that goes through it. And it's got 3 sets of waterfalls, and all totally different in types of shape and everything. If you go to dolecotter.com, one of the things I have is there places I've been, things I've seen. I've got pictures I took back there. But again, go back to my grandfather's the fire chief. Super nice guy, and hardly ever saw him lose his temper. But one day we managed to get him sort of upset with us. He would take me, my cousin Bobby, and my brother Jim on vacation to give my parents a break. And we were staying at a motel at Letchworth, and he went off to do something. He came back, and we were out there in the parking lot. And we had laid crackers across the walkway up to our room. And he was like, "What on earth are you guys doing?" And I said, "Oh, we're trying to get the raccoon to come into the room so we could keep it as a pet." Because his raccoon was out there happily eating and stuff. And he was not at all happy to thought about it, that we had actually gotten the raccoon into the room. And he's like, "And what you're dealing with?" No, I'm 8 years old. I don't know nothing. But Letchworth is really great. It's really pretty. Carol and I were back there a couple of years ago, and this part of New York is very dead. Nobody goes there anymore. The town outside of Letchworth is just empty shops and closed up buildings. But it's really a pretty spot to go to. A lot of these bridges were built during the 1930s by the Work Project Administration, part of FDR's plan to get people out of the Depression.
CCC.
Yeah, the Civilian Conservation Corps. So these were, again, they're still doing great. A couple of them in some of the places they've had to, in recent years, I think in Watkins Glen, they had to replace one, and they put in a modern looking one. It looks like hell. I mean, this old stonework was really, really great.
Yeah, it almost looks like part of the canyon in a sense.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But if you get to New York, go there. Now we're going to go through general New York State.
Hey, Don, do you remember Bill was talking about how every state has a Grand Canyon? Do you remember what it was in Texas?
Oh gosh, what is the name of that canyon? There's the canyon up near okay, my brain is locked up in the Panhandle. I'm
Yep.
trying to remember the name of it. I've been there. It's just off Route 66.
Yeah, it's called Paladuro.
Paladoro, yeah, it's gorgeous.
Oh, I was so disappointed.
Well, you have to drive you can't just drive up. You gotta get into it a bit. I mean, it's not huge, but it's nice. It's pretty.
It was like a gulch.
Is it,
Then you didn't. take time to tour the whole thing.
No, we went through the whole thing because I had a customer that named his business after Palo Duro, and
Oh, really?
oh yeah, so he really talked it up. So that was probably the biggest problem, is we were, over expectations were way too high.
Yeah, yeah, it's not massive, but it's pretty.
Well, Carol and I are trying to figure out where to go on vacation next year, and I was thinking maybe we'll go try to find the Grand Canyon of Kansas.
Yeah.
So we're here at the Bear Mountain Bridge near Peekskill. This was one of the earlier bridges, and going across the Hudson River there.
That's where I had my high school class trip, Bear Mountain.
Same.
Yeah, they
So
used
did
to
we.
That was exciting then.
taking boats. The Circle Line cruisers would come up the river, get up here to the Bear Mountain Bridge, and go back down again. But that was the way a lot of people in the days before air conditioning would spend their time, going up to Bear Mountain, getting out of the city, taking picnics up there, and having a big thing. Then we were recently here. Carol, you may recognize this. This is the Vanderbilt Mansion in Hyde Park. We went to Hyde Park this year. We did the Vanderbilt Mansion last year when we were in Hyde Park. This year we did both of the Roosevelt houses over there. But this is a really great spot to go visit if you're in the area and you're into the Gilded Age and that sort of thing. Really, really recommend it.
How many mansions did the Vanderbilts have? He has built more in North Carolina, and now there's this one.
The whole thing was there's a whole bunch of the family. So it wasn't just Cornelius Vanderbilt built 20-something mansions. Cornelius had a couple of nice houses, but he also had kids. Those kids then had houses. So when we were on Long Island this past trip, we went to another Vanderbilt mansion on Long Island, but it was again a different Vanderbilt, same lineage of the family going back up to the Commodore, but not the same people having multiple ones.
He probably has a house in Newport, Rhode Island too.
Yep, we've been there. We're here at the United States Military Academy at West Point. Again, if you are in the area, they give a very nice tour. We would go up there periodically. My grandfather, not the fire chief, but grandfather on the other side, had been a military officer both in World War I and World War II. So he absolutely loved to go up to the Army Navy games, and we'd go up. Of course, if Navy won, we were not supposed to ever talk about that, but he had not gone to West Point. He had been commissioned through the ranks, but he was very proud of his Army days. We were just here this past trip. Carol and I took a trip through the Capitol building in Albany. If you're in the area, I really, really recommend this. Carol, I think you really enjoyed it too, didn't you?
Yeah, it's a beautiful building. You can get lost in there, but they had, I mean, it was great. I don't
Why
think
the
it ever
purple
cost
steeples?
anything either.
Well,
Why do you put a purple steeple on it?
well, again, whether the colors are 100% right, I couldn't guarantee. But basically, you go through the whole
No,
thing.
we're not.
It's red tile. Yeah.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
give a talk about how the whole building was built in, over many, many years, and that they found the site they decided to build it on was really a bad site for it because they had a lot of ground subsidence. But one of the things they get a real kick out of is you go in, and I can't remember if it's the Assembly or the House or the Senate, but they show you all these things that were being carved on the wall. And when Teddy Roosevelt became governor, January 1st, he said, all the work stops today. You guys have been building this thing for the last 45 years. I'm sick of it. We're not spending any more money. So you can see carved, 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 half carved, uncarved, uncarved. But what they made a point out of this when you take the tour, and it's again a nice, really nice free tour, it lasts about an hour or so. After it, you're totally free to wander around the building. Unlike a lot of other places where it's all sealed off and everything. The only area that was sealed off here was the Attorney General's office. You could wander through, and they have a whole bunch of interesting displays about what each governor did and things that happened under his or her reign. We were going through there, and there was the name, and you may appreciate this, Scott, the Governor Troop, Throop. And my best friend's name is Bill Troop, and I took the picture and sent it to him. And yes, he was actually a descendant of that governor. So, but you can go through there, and they have all sorts of things on other things that happened in the history of the state. I don't think it's going to show in these pictures, but right next to this is the New York State Mall, the government complex, which was built to basically, I worked there in 75, I guess it was. And, ultra modern at that point in time, which is now going through renovation. But if you're in New York, go to Albany. We spent 2 days there, and we had a great deal of fun.
That mall, that long thing that we walked through had a museum in it too.
That was at the other end. Yeah, that was the New York State Museum. And so you walk through the building, and it's all government workers, and they have a big art collection, which Nelson Rockefeller had bought and put down in this pedestrian mall. But then you get down to the New York State Museum, and we didn't have enough time to even go through it. They had really nice displays of what life was like in the Adirondacks before roads came into place, all sorts of things. Again, there's a lot of New York besides New York City.
Isn't that one of the few state capitals without a dome on it?
Yes, and matter of
Yes.
fact, it was supposed to have a dome, and they did all these sorts of plans for it, and then they decided that the building, A, they couldn't afford it, and B, the building couldn't afford the weight. But if you go there, there's a whole section on the designs of this, and again, the tour is really great because they talked about how this part was done by this architecture who was really into light, airy spaces, and this part was done by this architecture who was really into heavy Gothic, medieval sort of stuff, and how they had to work. And this one got fired, and this one, I mean, it's really, I when I lived in Albany and I'd walk through the Capitol building for things, it was always fun. But the tour is really well recommended. Then we hop over to the other side of the state. We're getting over to the canals that go through, and this is a grain ship here. Well, this one's an ore ship, Herbert C. Jackson. Again, this is a general tour, so now we get to go see more Steuben. And you go through the canals. Again, Bill Troop, the guy I just mentioned, he's taken 2 tours through the Erie Canal. This year marks the 200th anniversary of the Erie Canal. And they just did a big thing where they rebuilt a boat called the Seneca. And they used the original plans for this canal boat. And they made a whole big thing. They sailed it all the way from Buffalo, and it arrived in Albany X number of days later. And if you go out there, you can do what these people are still doing out here. You can walk out on the gates, and then obviously when they're gonna open them, a bell rings and they shoo you off and everything. But when you think about the old Erie Canal, there's still sections of the old one, which Carol and I went and visited on this past trip. But then they rerouted a lot of the Erie Canal into what's now the New York State Barge Canal. In certain places, it still uses the same path. Other places, it's totally different because the original Erie Canal could only take very small boats. The new New York State Barge Canal can take very large ones.
Do you remember that they used to have like donkeys and stuff that
Yes.
pulled the boats? Yeah, along.
Yeah, my old
Was the
gal
original-
named Sal, 50 miles on the Erie Canal.
Now,
That's right. I forgot.
Yeah,
Bill,
so the one, the
you
section
can
we
now
went-
rent a boat and do the canal yourself.
That's what Bill did. He's done it twice. Yeah, they rent a boat and they give you a little map of where you can pull over, and you stop at a certain point. In some places you can stay for free, others you have to pay the town $10. But the little map comes and tells you if you go into the town, here's where the supermarket is, here's where the
Mhm.
whatever. But
Yeah.
yeah, Bill's done that twice now.
Our friends Bill and Carmel sorry, David and Carmel, just did that last month. Remember?
Oh yeah, right, yeah.
They went up to the Thousand Islands and
Mhm.
then they went down the Mississippi.
Their boat got
Yeah.
stuck up there one time, right? When she got sick.
I don't remember getting stuck, but
Well, I mean,
I know they had to
they had to leave it there. While
leave
she
it
was,
for a while. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Bill?
One of the sections, the old sections of the canal, which they've been restored, and there's a sign there, but this is the old path where the mules went down, and it's again, to me, I'm a big history nut, and you're standing there, it's just a dirt path, and here's this little thing of water.
Yeah.
But to think about the history and the number of people that took that one-way trip, heading out west, and if you guys maybe remember the movie How the West Was Won, very beginning of it, Paul Malden has a great scene where he's going off and they're waiting for their turn to get on the boat, and somebody's asking why he's going, and he talked about he had a farm that all he grew was rocks, and when he plowed it, rocks came out of the ground like a geyser, a waterfall of rocks and everything. Like this, don't be blasphemous, and he said, "Oh, I'm telling you, woman, that if you've ever seen farms in the Catskills, you could relate to the rocks there." But for me, when I'm walking down those paths, it's just kind of a link back to, wow, American history and how the country changed.
The boat that they rebuilt.
Wild Bill Hickok, in his younger days, worked on the Erie Canal, and the guy he was working for abused his horses, and Hickok got so pissed at him that he threw the guy in the canal. That was the end of that job.
Bill,
But yeah,
Yeah, Brock.
that reproduction boat they built, what kind of a boat was that? Was it just a barge or was it a powered boat?
It was a what you call it? It looked just like a giant version of the Davy Crockett keel boats.
That's,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. So people would sleep on it. I mean that was the way they got there from point A to B. I think the modern one, the one that they did, was powered because they didn't. Obviously there's no mules to pull it along anymore. They did make a point in some places of recreating that in the sections where they is still a towpath. They did press things of mules pulling it along. But I believe the modern thing was done just like when they redid the HMS Bounty for the movie. Was a sailing ship, but it also had a motor down below.
Yeah.
There's a guy, I can't remember his name right now on Facebook. He television reporter from upstate New York, and don't think he's a reporter anymore, but he did a thing every single day following the progress of this boat through the Erie Canal. It was just, and he does a lot of pictures, a lot of pictures of Letchworth, and again, it was great fun. Cities, and when this boat came into town, they'd have that day for the Seneca Day and whatever in Binghamton or wherever, and well, it wouldn't be Binghamton, but they fireworks and festivities, and then they go off to the next town. This is another great area, Watkins Glen. It's over on the western side of the state, so you can combine it with a trip to Letchworth. You may remember Watkins Glen. They have auto racing there each year. They also had a big concert that Hell's Angels caused a whole bunch of problems being the security of. But this particular area, the water will come through it at times when you get the rain. It will actually go over the bridge here. So down here, you just go.
Wow.
There's different things. There'll be a sign: high water mark 1956, high water mark 1942. This thing gets a lot of water through it when they get a rainy season. Anybody else been to Watkins Glen?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been there.
Yeah. It's also kind of interesting. In summer, you would think, okay, it's a hot day out. I'm going to go to Watkins Glen. You may not want to go down there because it's just like the Grand Canyon. It can get very hot in Watkins Glen because the sun goes down, heats up the rocks, and it never goes away. And the next day, it heats up the rocks and going. So at certain times of year, you do not want to take a trip down here, or if you do, you want to stand underneath the waterfall, which is going over the trail. This is the Eisenhower Lock. It's the St. Lawrence Seaway. This is near Messina, New York, and you can see the cars get to drive underneath the boats. It's quite a unique thing. After 9/11 hit, there was a tremendous concern. One of people brought in a truck and did exploded under the canal. So for a while they had stopped the traffic, which I believe is open back up now. But it is a real kick. I mean, I remember as a kid driving at Kennedy Airport and seeing the planes go over the road. To go over here, see the ships. The Erie Canal, by the way, the guy that does all the pictures had a thing. There's only one road that goes underneath the Erie Canal, the entire length of it. Everything else goes over it. But they recently did this entire visitor complex at the Eisenhower Lock. And within a year, they decided the roof was leaking, a typical government thing. So they spent millions and millions of dollars to do it, and then they had to close it and redo it. But they publish a schedule online of when all the ships are supposed to be getting there. And if you go to the visitor center, they have a plot, and it shows electronically the ships are approaching and the ships that are not. one of the things they try to do, this one is a fairly long ship and it took the entire lock. But what they try to do is group people to, because you got to pay a fee for these boats to go through. So if you're the only guy, you now get to pay the entire fee. But if you're able to go and ride in there with another boat, you know, they can split it for you. I always try to figure out, do they take credit cards or how do they do it? If Tom mentioned 1,000 Islands, absolutely one of my top 10 favorite places. I keep saying if I ever win the lottery, which I got to remember to buy a ticket, that would help. But I would have a summer place in 1,000 Islands and a winter house someplace else. This was an island. It's called Heart Island, and it was shaped like more of a heart shape. It was basically a natural island that this fellow Bolt came and put a whole bunch of money into rebuilding the island as a gift to his wife. He built this huge castle out there. Down at the below, you have a small harbor and dock. This thing down at the very bottom is a powerhouse to generate power for the island. His wife died before he finished it, and he basically walked away, never went back. And just like the movie Citizen Kane, with all the things in crates at the warehouse, he just left fireplaces and all statues and everything he had brought from Europe to finish this house. Sat there for years and years and years, empty. The the St. Lawrence Bridge Commission got a hold of it. They've been restoring it a room at a time, and I had been back out there for the first time, I think, in about 1960, 62, where basically the house was just a shell, nothing there. You go in there now, and they finished it out. And matter of fact, a couple of years ago, 2 years ago, they had a thing looking for an event director to come out there and work at the island and have events. You can have your wedding out there or whatever. But one of the things they mentioned was that the winter conditions can be rather harsh, and we do not have many winter events. So, but if you get a chance to go to the 1,000 Islands, definitely got to do Bolt Castle. Near
Bill,
is also Singer Castle, which is Singer sewing machine fame. And I think that the island is called something like Dark Island. But if you go out there, again, all these rich people are buying their islands, building their mansions. Nobody can afford them to live in any of these places today. But you go out to Singer Island, and it was really neat. We did that about 5 years ago.
do you know how Bolt got his money?
No, how?
He bought munitions and war surplus items from various governments. He actually stored them on another island that had one explosion.
Oh no,
And
you're thinking of Bannerman.
Yeah,
Bannerman? Was it
Bannerman,
Bannerman with
yeah.
the island?
Yeah,
I thought it was
Bannerman's
Bolt.
island.
different island.
Yeah.
I stand corrected. I
Yeah,
thought it was
Bannerman.
Bolt.
Yeah, no, Bannerman bought all these things, and he had a giant factory or giant warehouse in New York, which used to be a place they made hawsers for the United States Navy. And all his neighbors got nervous about all the stuff he was storing there. But he made an absolute fortune off of World War I because he had bought a whole bunch of stuff for the Spanish-American War. He had it in there, and now World War I came, and he was selling the same helmets and everything back to the United States government. But yeah, he went to Bannerman Island, which they did then have a giant ass explosion. So I guess they were good to get it out of Brooklyn.
Yeah.
But what was this
I
guy's
thought-
name?
Bannerman. I thought it
No,
was
for
Bolt.
this island.
This
Bolt.
guy's Bolt, Boldt,
Yeah, but what's his first name?
Mr.
You don't.
I don't know.
Mister.
If you look up Bolt Island, I'm sure it will tell you what his
Okay.
it was.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Actually, we were taking one of the tours of the Vanderbilt Mansion on Long Island, and they mentioned, somebody said, where did he get all his money? And I said, well, we don't like to talk about it, but he was real big in the opium trade.
One of them.
As the guide said, you didn't make all that amount of money by doing it honestly. 1,000 Islands is great. Again, Canada on one side, United States on the other. There's one person that has an island. It has the smallest international bridge. It's a little footbridge about 20 feet across. And he has the American flag flying on the one island and the Canadian flag flying on the other.
How cool is that?
Yep. We'll take a real quick trip here to Niagara Falls at night.
Niagara Falls,
Slowly I turned, step by
step
step.
by step.
Did you say the Susquehanna Hat Company? That gag's been used so many times. Yeah, it's funny, just mentioned Susquehanna Hat. My brother who lives over that area mentioned we went by the Susquehanna River and he said it's one of the largest non-navigable rivers in the United States because it's very wide and very, very shallow. When I went to Philmont Scout Ranch in 1967, our first stop after we left Long Island was Niagara Falls. And I sent a postcard back to my parents about we're back to Niagara Falls. It's great to see it again. And my father, who had never been to Niagara Falls, instantly packed up the family and took the rest of the kids to Niagara Falls because he was rather perturbed that we had been there twice and he had never been there. So I still have the postcard he sent me, and because you come back from Philmont, and my father's mailed me a postcard in my own house, and he says, "Now I've been here too." So, but okay.
Horseshoe.
Oh, by the way, I just looked it up. His name was George Bolt, and he was the proprietor of the Waldorf Astoria Hotel in New York City and the manager of the Bellevue Stafford Hotel in Philadelphia. That's where he got his money from, I guess.
Oh, great! I wonder if the place had been finished, if he would have served Waldorf salads.
I don't know. Yeah.
All right, now we're heading down to a whole different part of the country. We are on our way to Charlotte, North Carolina. So again, if you're going on vacation and you want to show everybody that you've been to Charlotte, you'd buy your set of Pana View slides. And is anybody
It's unrecognizable today.
Nothing like that.
Nothing like that. Nothing like that.
Yeah, I went to Charlotte for business. I couldn't have picked this place out of a if you gave me $1 million to tell me what town this was, I wouldn't have recognized it. Trying to figure out a year on it. Again, you can come back. The only thing, some of the hotel
church
signs
is still
may
there.
help.
The church is still there. That's right.
Elks department store.
That's where the BOA tower is now.
Go down. I was going to say, go down to the road, see if we can figure any of the cars. Boy, it's late 50s, early 60s, I would say. More like late 50s.
Yeah.
Not my era.
That's actually okay. Yeah.
Auditorium Coliseum. And this was a good one. This is the Hudson Hosiery Company. So you can see they're making all the stockings and fitting it over forms. Now, if you look over here, there's probably a display of they're giving people telling what the shades are or anything. One of the things I love doing on trips is going on factory tours of places. And we've been to all sorts of things. One of our favorites probably was the Jelly Belly factory. They gave out free samples. Or we went to pretzel factories. We've been to we've been to a whole bunch of factories. To me, it's just kind of fascinating to see how these things are done. So for you ladies in the days when they made stockings and not pantyhose, I'm sure this was a very busy place. The Mint Museum, I have no idea if there was ever a mint in Charlotte. Now, boy, for those of us in the computer field, this will take you back. This is the Eastern Airlines Reservation Center. So, yeah, look at all these cubicles and, the telephones here with multiple things, a dial and everything. But back then, look at the sea of all these things done. And of course, Eastern Airlines is long gone. What I got a kick out of was that this modernized stuff where they used to have it where you went up to your gate. I don't know if anybody ever flew that early. Some airlines didn't have computers. You would get there and they'd have a chart with all the seats on the plane on a little piece of adhesive. And it would say, oh, you're in seat D7. And they would pull it off the picture of the plane and stick the little D7 onto your boarding pass. And that's how they knew where your seat had been assigned. But then Eastern came by and they put in one of the most modern call centers and they start being able to do things so that they revolutionized. We could tell you where your seat was going to be before you got to the airport. And boy, that upped the game for other airlines big time. So this was at that point in time a major change to the airline industry.
Yeah,
It's-
I can recall in my lifetime living in the Chicago area, nowadays they change prices and everything hourly. But
Mhm.
back when they made their major changes quarterly, the traffic around O'Hare, you could tell because the traffic changed every 3 months.
Wow.
That's interesting in this picture. You see all the women's purses where they would
Yes.
just find a place to set them down in their workstation. Purses and sweaters.
I was thinking the same thing, and it was also looking at the size of them too, I mean, yeah, the
Yeah.
sweat, everything piled up here.
You
And
think about the seating. Why do you have to assign seats at all? You get on a bus, you just go in and sit down. What do you assign a seat for?
no, but I definitely want to know if I'm going to sit with my family and my kids as opposed to just get. Matter of fact, Southwest Airlines is getting away with assigned seating. They're putting assigned seating in for the first time, and one of their big reasons was customer dissatisfaction. Was everybody would go and rush on the plane and get all the good seats and fill up all the overhead bins and everything. So I always figure this lady must be a supervisor. She gets to sit at the end here and look down at all the people in all
Yep.
the aisles. Then our next
Yeah,
one,
That's KTU equipment, isn't it?
what's that?
Isn't that KTU switch equipment on our phone?
I really don't know. I back up here. I somewhere
That
in the,
isn't.
I have the Bell System manual for all this stuff. I could go look it up. But
No, no. I'm thinking that phone could
Yeah.
be key equipment.
this is called a call director. I know that was the public facing name of it.
Okay.
And you were a big time shot if you got a call director with all the buttons and everything and up here. This is basically, I think, the same thing, but on a flat panel feature of it. But the call directors, whoa, that was a big thing. And over here, this is a Model 500. Not that I remember my Bell System days, but a Model 500. And I'm looking across the room at a Model 500, but a touch tone version that I have here in the office. A bright red one, the bat phone.
I've been looking for one. I can't find them.
Oh, really? Oh, eBay's your friend. Actually, this one,
Yeah.
when we closed down a data center, I took this out of the data center and I hooked it home. And we have Spectrum as our cable TV company. And for whatever reason, it's cheaper to get a package which has telephone, cable, and internet than it is if you just get cable and internet. I didn't want the telephone, but they gave it to me. And I still have a copper landline for security purposes on my alarm system. But I don't even know the number of that phone, and I'm looking at the plug is actually disconnected right now because it only rings with spam calls, and but and it's the old-fashioned phone with the gongs, da 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 dong. So when I'd be sitting here and the thing would go off, and my kids again, what is earth is that?
Bill, you still have a copper line?
Yep, still do.
They haven't.
I have one
They
too.
haven't tried to pull it out.
They're hoping to. Matter of fact, I'm I'm not with Bell. I'm with a former GTE area, and we're Frontier Communications, which it was GT&E, got sold to Verizon, which sold it to Frontier, which is now selling it back to Verizon again. AT&T is filed with the state of California to give up all their copper lines. Frontier Verizon has yet to not do it. Again, I really, for security purposes, if the internet goes down, my alarm works. One of the things I mention to people all the time when we're doing security patrols is if you have an alarm system and it uses wireless sensors and everything, get rid of it and put a wired in one in, because for $50 you can buy a Wi-Fi jammer. And these people will pull up to your house, jam the Wi-Fi, and that's the first time a lot of people know that they're getting robbed, is that that they'll get an alert that, hey, your Wi-Fi has gone offline, but they'll jam it, come in, do everything they want, and then your cameras aren't recording, your alarm's not dialing out, that sort of thing. If you do get a wireless alarm, make sure that it connects through a cellular signal as opposed to a Wi-Fi signal. But even there, some of these jammers, they'll jam the cellular signals. So I'm keeping, for $136 a month, I keep my copper line as long as I possibly can.
I got the same thing. I'm also with Spectrum with a copper landline.
Yeah, when we had the Northridge earthquake, I was the only guy in the neighborhood that had a working phone, so.
There
Mhm.
are still about 500 people in Brooklyn that still have their copper lines. All are
Only
elderly.
500?
They're all refusing to give it up. They are driving Verizon and Cablevision insane because they have to maintain the lines. It was part of the contract
why-
agreement.
Well,
Why is it only 500? Only
we're having a
500?
problem out here in
That
LA.
was the last number I heard.
Yeah, we're having a big problem out here in LA with copper thefts, and
Yeah.
they
Here
they
too.
cut a line and tie it to the end of a truck and just drive, pull the wire out of the ground. Some friends of mine, they had their copper line cut, and AT&T said, "Oh, it's going to be 3 months to put it back." Well, obviously, in the old days, you could put it back in a week or so. They're trying to drag it out to get as many people to come off it. What we're having the problem now is that a lot of these idiots don't realize the line they're cutting and dragging out is fiber optic, because it's got a metal sheath around it for protection. So now they pull these things out, and replacing a quarter mile of fiber optic is a royal pain in the butt. So that they just passed a new law last week in the city here to put a reward for people stealing copper. The day they passed it, somebody stole copper, they got caught, and that person's probably going to get a very nice $5,000 reward. But it's a giant problem. We're going to hop
Yep.
across the other side of the country out to the Columbia River Highway in Oregon.
Yeah. Copper theft is a problem in Tucson. They've disabled a lot of the high school athletic fields by
Yeah.
pulling out the copper lines for the lights.
Well, we have one out here called the 6th Avenue Bridge. Typical thing. They had a bridge across the LA River for years, wore out. And rather than just putting in a functional bridge, oh no, we have to put in this bridge with these giant curving arches. And we'll put in all these lights to light them up at night. And it's a beautiful symbol of LA, and it's reborn and everything. And it's totally dark because they came in and they stole all the cable out of it. Well, now they said to put the cable back is going to be $4.5 million, and because they never designed the bridge with the thought they'd ever have to replace the cable. So we're going to have to jackhammer out parts of the bridge to put the cable back, and they're not doing it because they figure as soon as we put it back, they'll just tear it out again. So they just made an announcement 2 weeks ago that they think they've come up with a plan for it, and they're hoping to have it done in time for the 2028 Olympics. So that's the way the city of LA moves these days. This bridge has been dark for 2 years, and so they're hoping to get it done 3 years from now. 5 years of no lights on this giant bridge. If you've ever been out west, the Oregon River, you can go, the Columbia River going through Oregon is a really nice area to go through.
That building, I was gonna say that building you can see in the distance on top of that hill, that little dome-like shaped building right above the post. There it
Yes.
is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Seattle.
that's the big viewpoint.
Yep.
That's out of Portland, I think. Because we
Yeah, I
were
was out of
there. We
Portland.
were
You're
just,
right. I was
yeah,
here.
we were there, and we were there last year.
Gorgeous up there. Mhm.
Yeah, quite a view. It's also interesting across from it, there's a mountain that looks like they went in with earth movers and mined something out of it, but it's not. It's a natural avalanche that occurred hundreds of years ago that actually blocked the Columbia River at the time and allowed the Indians to cross over and trade with Indians on the other side. And it stayed blocked for a number of years until a huge flood came in and washed it away again. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
That's funny. Yeah,
Yeah.
Carol and I, we visited this building. We had a nice drive. We've been on 2 trips along the river. One time was our son. We went looking for wildflowers along it. Another time we just went, Carol and I looking at waterfalls and taking all the trip.
Yeah.
But we did do that building. But it's funny the things that you think about. We stopped at some town to get an ice cream or something, and there was a place selling ice cream cones that had to be. I mean, it's the biggest ice cream cone I've ever seen in my life. And they had 27 or 35 or whatever different flavors of soft serve ice cream. And I'm thinking, how the hell could you eat something that tall before it melted? I did not decide to try that. Big signs though all around the neighborhood. You're only 10 miles away from the world's biggest ice cream cone. So
Now this is actually taken from that building.
yep,
This
Yep.
is their parking lot.
yep.
And that's how you get there down below on the highway.
Yeah, and then you take that little road that goes up and comes up the back end.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, so there were just two of them that survived from the Oregon thing here. Again, they come in. Sometimes you get them, and sometimes you don't. We're gonna go back to the East Coast, so I hope everybody's not getting jet lagged here. We're gonna go to Betsy Ross's house in Philadelphia. So amazing that her flag is still there. This is
Yeah,
this
she
is the
forgot it
photo
there
of
before
whom
she
she
died.
sewed it in. What's that, Don?
I said she must have forgotten it and left it
Yeah,
there.
right. The flag room, and that's the weave and everything. The exterior of her house.
Itty bitty.
20 feet wide?
What's
That's
that?
about it.
It's probably only 20 feet wide.
Yeah.
That building
Yeah.
to the right has been demolished. The building on the right's been demolished since this was
Has it?
taken.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
were
so
back there a couple of years ago. We took a fall foliage cruise, and that was actually in Boston. I'm thinking about no Philadelphia. It's been a while.
Obviously, they don't use the fireplace in reality. That last picture. Look at the top.
I
No, it's
don't
like
think
kudzu.
so.
It grows so fast. This was one night's
looks
growth.
like kudzu.
Yeah, one night's growth.
But there's the fireplace they don't use. Her main bedroom. The
Her only
First
bedroom.
Nations flag. Well, what do you think, guys? You like it?
I'm not sure they think Betsy Ross really made the first American flag. There
I
are
agree
some
with you.
historians out there that say she didn't. I have no idea. It's a nice idea, and we certainly see a lot of her. But
Well,
I heard
somebody
that
had
same
to do
story.
it. Someone to give her credit. Now we go to another really great spot, Gettysburg National Park, National Monument. I guess it's a national park. If you any fan of American history and you read up on the Battle of Gettysburg, just absolutely astonishing the amount of deaths and everything that occurred there. There was so much lead flying back and forth that in museums they have. You could tell a Union bullet from a Confederate bullet by the number of rings on them. And there's in a number of the museums where they have bullets that impacted in midair with two bullets fusing into each other. That's that much lead was flying through there.
Yeah, that's actually a National Historic Battlefield Park.
Okay.
In the center of the town,
And
there's
it's
a building.
huge.
Yeah,
There's a
it's huge.
cannonball embedded in the wall of a building in the town. It flew several miles away, ended up stuck in the wall.
Yeah. Yeah.
Reenacted.
Reenactment. Yeah, we went out here first with my grandparents to visit. Then we went with the Boy Scouts, and then I went back there and visit with the family a number of years ago. So this area, little round top. There's a famous shot of a sniper that was shot at a little place called Devil's Den, and it was one of those Matthew Brady photos. The poor guy laying there dead. And we convinced my friend Bobby Joyner to go and pose in the exact same picture. And another one with the Scoutmasters were like, "What the hell are you doing?" You know, Bobby could have plummeted down and hurt himself. But hey, what do you know?
Yeah, I think I might have told you this before, but we went there. Oh gosh, it's probably now 10 years, 10, 12 years ago, and took a tour. And they have several ways you can tour it. And one of them is to hire a private guide that you take your car and they go around and give you the whole story everywhere and stuff like that. And I think that's the best way to do it. It's not much more than taking the bus. It's obviously more than if you do it yourself, but then you're just kind of going around and you have no idea what you're seeing. And it was really fascinating. And we ended up we paid for a 2-hour tour. I think we got a 3-hour tour because he loved all the questions I asked, because he said somebody's finally asking intelligent questions.
A 3-hour
So-
tour. Here's,
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
3-hour tour. And I never came back.
here's Devil Den. So if you want to think about it, picture my friend Bobby Jordan hanging backwards over the edge of this, and the scoutmasters down below going, "Oh crap." So all sorts of monuments, so all sorts of folks on both sides. I guess is a big thing with the horses. You can tell whether or not the guy was killed or not by whether the horse's feet are on the ground. Alabamians, your names are inscribed here. I think I mentioned.
There are like 200 or 300 of those
Yeah,
throughout the.
they're
That's
all over
right.
the place.
Everywhere you look.
This is the
Oh,
visitor center. If they had a big
There's cyclorama.
cyclorama inside, and then again, they had big problems with it being a government building. It leaked, so they had to do that. I think I mentioned just a week or so ago about when we were out there, we got to meet President Eisenhower. One of the things, this is inside the cyclorama. One of the things on one of the Boy Scout trips we did was we worked with the National Park Service, helping to excavate parts of the battlefield. And they would give you a grid, say 3 feet by 3 feet, and you would dig down, and they were trying to recreate what units had been where by what belt buckles, insignia, and whatever had been there. So they let us keep a couple bullets because there were so many bullets. You can go to the gift shop in Gettysburg and buy bullets by the bag. But if we found anything like regimental badges or belt buckles and that sort of thing, we had to turn those in. And at the end of the day, we were driving back out of the battlefield, and we went by Eisenhower's house, stopped outside, waved to him, and he actually came out to see. The Secret Service came out to talk to us. Then Eisenhower came out because he saw all the Boy Scout uniforms. And today, you'd never, ever, ever be able to have anything like that, but it was really cool. North Carolina, the Confederate soldiers and sailors. I don't know how many sailors took place in the Battle of Gettysburg, but they had a big monument. And the high water mark, that was again, they had the charge going across the field and they were trying to repel it. And this is as far as they got and turn people back. If you start looking into the sign, you have the different battalions, all that are listed up here. And then a big whole thing about Longstreet's assault on that particular thing. There's a number of sites on Facebook these days that will go to and they will map the trees, pictures of taken after the battlefield or after the battle was fought. And I forget the term they call them, not victory trees, something like heritage trees or whatever. And they'll go and map where they are today and show how many of these the giant trees today were survivors of the battlefield. And back then, they also had a lot of the trees and the pictures taken just after the thing. The trees are absolutely shattered by all the cannon fire, and they show how they've regrown, some of them over the years. So we also more of Gettysburg, and again, some of these pictures are going to be repeats. The visitor center from another angle.
Yeah, they've torn that down now, I guess, and moved everything to another building.
Yeah, this building was actually shoddily built, totally wore out. It didn't last very, very long at all. It was doing damage to the cyclorama.
Yeah, when we were there, they had just opened the new cyclorama building. We got to see it up in place again.
Oh, that's the Wax Museum.
Yep. Lincoln bedroom as he's finishing his address. Mangler Spring. This was one of the few spots in the area where the troops could get ready water easily. And today, I don't know if you can still do it today, but back in the 60s, you could come down and they put a water fountain and you could drink from the same spring. General Lee's headquarters. A lot of these were owned by private individuals. So here you can see it's got a gift shop and a free museum. But this is how many of these statues there are. I mean, they're just all over the place. I got a kick when I was a kid of just how many cannons there were still out on site.
Yep.
You had the big round top, the little round top, just the names of the hills looking down over the valley. This battle was such a thing that people would come out from their houses and pick up picnic lunches, come out from Washington, D.C., and go and sit up on the hills and watch the battle going on down below. I mean,
Yeah, it was a spectator sport.
Yeah, hard to fathom today, Jenny Wade, I think this is one of the houses you can go and see some of the damage done. General Meade's house. Again, this Soldiers and Sailors Monument.
They used to have something called the electric map out there that was really
Yes.
great for learning the history of
That's
the,
right.
of the Gettysburg.
Yep, yeah, they'll show you how the Pickett's charge went and all that. The Wax Museum in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. We can watch them. This is something near and dear to my heart. The
Sturgis
first
pretzel.
bakery.
They're just,
Yeah, so I love
Sturgis.
pretzels. I love going and taking the pretzel factory tour.
Go in there
They're
and buy a
still there?
5-pound bag of pretzels.
Yep.
Get the 5-pound bag.
So this is Lafayette and Mr. Passmore, the first mayor. J. Buchanan receiving a message. The Fulton Opera House of 1873. Amish couple and farm scenery.
I'm sorry, Bill, real quick, that one where that guy receiving the message, his wife in the door, she's looking at him saying, that better not be from your girlfriend. Look at
Can I
the
give
look
you a
on her
copy of the
face.
Watchtower?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, there you go.
Ooh la la, that better not be from Paris. Yeah.
We have 5 minutes of your time.
This could be today, right? I mean, it's,
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, there's no reflectors on that wagon. Today they have
that's
to have
true, it's a
reflectors.
triangular thing, right?
Yeah.
Now, again, we're despite some people not recognizing, we're still in the United States as we go to Puerto Rico, and this is just
The
one
gem of the
slide from
Caribbean.
that one, and then we have Dorado, Puerto Rico. So we have the Dorado Hilton Hotel, probably late 60s, early 70s, would you say?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah. What's that car? Bill, go back one. Okay, car on the right.
The
The
kind
beige
of
one?
grayish one.
Yeah, the one
Yeah.
on the right.
The Rambler?
Yeah.
Could it be
Yeah,
a
well,
Rambler?
Could be an American Motors car, or it could be a foreign car.
Yeah, so the one
Hard to
behind
tell.
foreign.
Yeah, the one behind is definitely foreign.
Yeah.
You don't have too many
Well,
foreign cars.
there's to the left there was a Rambler. See it
Really?
behind the Chevrolet? Isn't that a Rambler?
Yeah, that's one, the pink one,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes, that's a
Yeah.
Rambler.
Yeah.
I think the other one is one of the other one, the smaller model.
Okay.
I forget the 500? Was there a
I don't
Rambler
know.
500?
Don't remember that.
I know 500 was
Huh.
big before. It's the Galaxy 500, and then
And Victory, yeah.
all right, we'll go to visit closer to Beth's area. We're in Charleston, South Carolina, and the scale model of Fort Sumter. When I was working for the Navy, I had to go down to Charleston and work at the shipyard there, and I really got a kick out of going and visiting Fort Sumter. I mean, again, the way the entire nation changed from that tiny little spot of land was just phenomenal. So if anybody hasn't been to Charleston, I really enjoyed Charleston. I thought it was just the history was just amazing down there. 42-pounder cannon at Fort Sumter.
Mhm.
Fort Sumter National Monument. You can see the boat out here taking you out.
70s, maybe?
Entrance to Fort Moultrie. So do we have anything else from? Nope, that was just forts of Charleston. Okay, now we're gonna go way out the other side. And we're at the Badlands. So we're out in South Dakota. When I went out there in 1967 on our Philmont trip, boy, you could sure tell whether this area was called the Badlands. I cannot imagine the poor people that were coming across in wagons hitting this and going, oh my God. You know, what if this is really bad, but what if 10 miles in it gets even worse? So this is Spire in Norbeck Pass.
Is this in Theodore Roosevelt National Park?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yep. And then
Did you go to his ranch?
Yeah, sure did. I got pictures on my Philmont page of going out there.
This was all formed by a huge catastrophic flood after the Ice Age.
Fossil graveyard. Sod table area. You can see some sod up here at the top. At twilight.
But the colors are so beautiful when you
Yeah.
think
Oh,
about it.
it's a beautiful area in its own stark, sort of way. So
Is this a slide that was very red when you did it?
yes,
Because it really came out good.
yeah, these were all pretty much bright red. So now we're in Animals of the Black Hills. So we have elk.
Elk, yeah. Moose.
Friendly begging burrow.
Cute.
Hopefully the kid didn't try to go out and pet an elk. Let's see if we can see what's on his hat. Oh,
Yeah, I like his hat.
He's a baseball fan. Ah, Dodgers. Oh
Oh,
God, I don't want to
excellent.
mention the Dodgers. Anyway, luckily working the casino raid last night, Carol was sending me texts and oh, it's 2-0. Oh, it's 2-2. It's 4-2. It's 9-2. It's 11-2. I was like, oh God.
Yeah, it was ugly.
Yeah.
He's got the Cubs. He's got the Phillies,
Yeah. He's got a whole bunch of
Does he have the Yankees?
Red Sox. I mean,
the
and isn't
Senators.
the one in the middle,
Pirates.
isn't that the hockey team or?
No, that's baseball. There's
Oh, it is
baseball bats
baseball.
there.
They're
Oh,
baseball
baseball.
bats.
got
Yeah.
the
Senators, yeah. It's the Senators.
Indians. Yeah.
How old
Yeah,
do
the
you think this
senator.
picture
That was
is?
the senators.
Senators.
Yeah.
They
How old is this
became
picture?
the twins.
Well, look, if you go back out, I think the front end of the car on the right might be a very early Mustang,
Ah,
the first Mustang.
hard to
It's gonna
tell.
be around
Yeah,
64.
Yeah, it is a Mustang.
Yeah.
it's a
64 and a
I was just
64.
gonna say.
So somewhere around the mid 60s.
Today the
nice.
kid's a senior
Bison.
citizen.
Big
Oh,
Like
bird,
us.
antelope. When we were at Philmont, we were out taking pictures. We had just gone up to the big mountain that night and taking pictures. A herd of antelope came running through the field that I was standing in, and it's quite an experience when you're out there and one of these guys comes running at you full speed and veers off at the last minute. And I was taking pictures that I was convinced were going to be on the cover of the next National Geographic. When I got them developed, they were absolutely crap. I mean, they were so dark you couldn't see anything.
Oh,
I remember the scoutmaster, yelling, "Get out of there!" And I go, "What do you want me to do? Outrun them?"
Did you ever see any of their wild horses?
No, not when I was out at the trip. No.
Yeah,
Wait.
there's a whole group that wants to get rid of all the wild horses.
Yeah.
all the
And I've
Western
been
states.
helping by sending letters and stuff. So far, they haven't been able to do it, but they claim they are not indigenous to the area.
They're not.
That's what they claim, but they are. They were there when Theodore Roosevelt was there. They were
They were-
there.
They were brought over by the Spanish.
Yeah.
And some of those horses are related to a herd that Sitting Bull had. So these are historical sites in themselves. I follow a whole group about those wild horses. I've even gotten to know some of them just by looks. Some of those animals are absolutely beautiful. They really are.
I bet. We're still in the Black Hills. We're overlooking the Needles Highway. The Sylvan Lake. Can you
I
imagine
think
it?
that's so awesome.
Yeah.
Where is that? Where's that at?
Black Hills.
Above.
You know right where it is, Tom?
I thought it was above Rushmore.
Could be. It's in that area.
Look at that.
Needles Highway.
Did you go to Deadwood?
Yes, as a matter of fact, did. Yep.
What was the Alfred Hitchcock movie that
Oh,
was
North
at
by
Mount.
Northwest.
North by
It was,
Northwest.
okay.
North by
So I was gonna
Northwest.
say, and it just didn't sound right. But yeah, I love that movie, and it was, yeah, it was in the lodge and up on top, and then the house was supposedly up, at the top of the
Yeah, yeah. Who didn't
carvings.
build a house up at the top of the presidents?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. What a great
Cathedral
movie! I need to
spires.
watch that again.
Oh, it's a great movie. The poor Cary Grant, just he gets drunk. Well, Martin Landau was so great in that. The evil, the villain, James Mason. They were all. The whole movie was great. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, yeah.
We're gonna take a real quick trip here to the world's only corn palace.
Ah, I love the Corn Palace.
Yeah. So I do
Very
have
eerie
two
place.
pictures somewhere of the outside, but we have two pictures here of artwork done on the inside.
Where is this?
Salt Lake City.
No, it's South Dakota, and
Mitchell, I think.
Wow.
I think it's in Mitchell. I'll see.
yeah, I think Mitchell sounds right.
They redo the interior every year.
Yep. Mentioned Disney got into it selling things for true life adventures, so we get to see white rhinoceros, elephants,
Wow.
male lion, lioness. These were all bright red, so I was really glad that the greenery came back. And an ostrich.
Nasty
I have about
birds.
5 sets of the Disney ones. I only got around to restoring the one of them so far. Now we're gonna go visit Don for one quick visit. Have you seen this on your trips of
I have seen so many churches. This one is not ringing a bell. No pun intended.
Old First Church is all it says.
Old First Church.
No, Old North Church, did you say, or First?
Oh, First.
It's
Oh.
in Vermont.
Bennington, Vermont.
Bennington. Okay. Yeah, I haven't been back there since since my days in the 70s, but yeah,
Oh.
we haven't got that part yet on our 251 club.
Oh,
So.
okay.
But yeah, it's a lot. You travel to Vermont, there are churches like this on every corner, I swear.
Yeah.
Pretty.
One
Bennington.
giant slide of the giant falls, the Great Falls of the Potomac River in Arlington, Virginia. When my son lived in Arlington, I don't know if we ever got to the falls. I don't know if the falls are dammed up or whatever, but I don't remember seeing them. Another area probably people have been to, Colonial Williamsburg.
Williamsburg.
So
Yeah.
another great spot to visit. I mean, so many people go to this area. They go to the see Bush or whatever. But you got the capital of Virginia colony. We actually stayed there for a business trip one time when they were doing the merging of Time and Life magazine with Warner Brothers. And they brought us all down here, and we stayed for a couple of days at Williamsburg for a meet and greet and get to know your counterpart thing. And that made it really nice because you go to dinner and everything, and at night most of the people would have gone home, and you could just walk through the grounds and enjoy it. So just the various houses have been recreated. Firing
The magazine.
militia muster. I was never down there where they did any of these reenactments, militia drill here.
We went to Williamsburg for our honeymoon. We got married on December 1st, and they have a big Christmas celebration that starts in early December. So that's what we did for our honeymoon.
Yeah, really glad you mentioned that because I was down there at one Christmas time, and I love the way they decorated the houses for it. And I can remember all the wreaths. I've got pictures of it. We're decorating the wreaths on the doors with actual things like apples or cinnamon cloves and all the natural things you would have used back then, as opposed to all the plastic wreaths or whatever people have on their doors today. And it was really cold wandering through the grounds. It was absolutely deserted. I remember going to the candle maker shop, and they were like, "Oh my God, he's a customer." I learned more about making candles that day than I ever wanted to know. But it's beautiful at Christmas time.
Yeah, yeah, we went to a couple of candlelight concerts and it was really, really nice.
Well, I have to remember as we get closer to December to wish you all a happy anniversary.
Yeah.
Robertson's Windmill. The Wig Maker Shop. Ah, the poor bunny. The Kitchen of the Raleigh Tavern.
Rabbit stew.
Yeah,
Lots of
Big
pepper.
bunny. That's
Yeah.
one massive
Yeah.
rabbit.
Yeah.
Gonna say the picture made it look like a giant. It's one
yeah.
of those jackalopes.
Yeah.
That's a big rabbit.
Hassenpfeffer.
Yep, Martha Washington's peanut soup.
Ladies Hat Shop. Apothecary. And let's see, I think we're done
I
with.
wonder if they ever cook tobacco leaves like spinach.
Don't know. Another spot, I'm gonna go through these, we're running out of time, but Luray Caverns, if you're in the Virginia area, you have to go out to Luray Caverns. It's a beautiful limestone cavern. It's real, and to get the area around it is very nice too, but again, I went there, I think the first time I was about 10 years old. I've been back probably half a dozen times since then. Really a spectacular spot to go through.
Never heard of it.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it's
Never
real.
heard of Luray.
Never
Wow.
heard of, well, again, I guess if you're from the west, you know, Luray is real big on the east.
It's about an hour west of Washington.
All these different things, and again, they give you quite a tour through there.
Neil's out back. Yeah, he called you. I called you.
Oh, they thought the dog was out back. They're looking for her. She's on my lap. Oh,
Yeah.
Know where she was.
Hey, Tom, your
Yeah.
comment about boiling the tobacco leaves?
Yeah.
They call it chaw.
Oh, yeah.
Are you almost done?
yeah.
Why would you boil them?
Oh,
No, I'm just making a joke about chewing
yeah.
tobacco. That's how they made
Oh.
chewing tobacco.
Yeah.
Now, on every one of these, they have a name. So we're looking at Saracen's Tent, the Drapery, Frozen Fountain. Yeah, I guess, when you go through it, you get to be the first one to name some of these things. But this just gives you an idea of here, you see the people down below, how big some of these things are.
Yeah.
Now, this is a really neat room. This organ down here, a keyboard.
Yeah.
And then if you look at, I don't think it shows in any of these stalactites, but they all have little rubber hammers on them. And when you play down, they pound the little stalactite or stalagmite, which, by the way, stalactite has a C in it from ceiling, stalagmite G in it for ground. And I learned that from a Hardy Boys book. So the things you learn reading your Hardy Boy books. But they
You know how long
actually
it,
inserts down
you know how
here.
long it takes them to grow? They said each cubic inch takes 1,000 years to form.
Yeah.
Huh.
But this
I
is
find
pretty
that hard to believe.
down there when they've done a concert, and it's pretty impressive. The supposedly, that we talked to somebody, how did you come up with something that was the perfect thing? Well, they kind of chipped away and carved some of them to make them work, but it does a nice
Ooh, they
job.
cheated.
Carved away 10,000 years of growth just to make it sound
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is one fried eggs, and where these came by was people were coming by and rubbing them all the time, and over time they've they've become flat and polished.
I actually remember seeing that in person, the fried eggs.
What else do we have for Virginia? Oh, we have more Battlefield. We have Manassas, so we got the Journal of Jackson. Here's
Dang, he's buff in that shot.
What's that?
It looks like he's buff. It's like it looks like he's been working out or something there.
He's just standing resolute. You can fire cannons, you can do all sorts of things. Matter of fact, when you talk about things like Gettysburg and all the people going up there to sit down and watch, one of the things I remembered them talking about was they would stuff things like the cannons, they'd fill them up with links of chain, so that when they shot the cannon off, the chains would go spinning around like a giant reaper and just cutting the people down like crazy. So bad enough to get by a cannonball, but now chains and all these other things are flying around, and people were just up there watching it for fun. Ugh. The Stone House in Battlefield Park.
Hey, Roger Duck.
And Natural Bridge, Virginia. One of the 7 natural wonders of the world. I never knew that the Natural Bridge of Virginia is one of the 7 natural wonders of the world.
Yeah, they charge admission to see that too.
Yeah, but I really doubt if that's on the 7 natural wonders.
Yeah, no way.
Yeah. 50
George
feet
Washington
higher
carved
than
his name.
Niagara, old as the dawn. But anyway, there it is. So you could come and be down here. By the way, saltpeter, they're mentioning it was one of the big things to making munitions during the Civil War. Oh, both Revolutionary and Civil War.
So is that it? How is it a cave if it goes
No, it's a
straight
natural
through
bridge.
and
Like
bridge, it's not a
it's
cave.
such a
bridge.
short
Bridge.
distance?
There's
Yeah,
a
no,
road.
it
There's a
doesn't
road
show
on the top of it.
Doesn't show the top of it here.
There's a road on the
Okay.
top. When you ride across the top, you never realize you're going across that.
Mhm.
It's not. Excuse me.
All right, we're almost through our tour of the states. We're Mount Rainier wildflowers. This one, if Carol, I think she's out with the dogs, but our son, when he was graduating from high school, we said, "Where would you like to go? Take you anywhere in the world." And you know, you want to go see Japan? You want to go back to Disney World? No, I want to go to see the wildflowers. We had a calendar here at home that had the wildflowers of Washington on it. So we finished. He finished high school. We flew up there. We drove up to Mount Rainier, went into the visitor center, and said to the guy, where are the wildflowers? And he said, well, see that field out there with all the snow? He said, yeah. He goes, come back in 3 months. You should see some flowers. We had all the wildflowers here in California already. The poppies and the lupins and everything had been out. We
Hmm.
never, ever thought that there would still be, and literally in some parts of Mount Rainier Park, 15 feet of snow still in the ground when we're down here with 90-degree temperatures. So that was our first trip to the Columbia River Gorge because they mentioned that, oh, there were wildflowers growing in the gorge, and we drove down there. But someday I'll get back up there at the right point in time. Now you need a reservation to go to the damn park. You just can't
What were those flowers?
And these I don't know. The squaw grass, it says.
Long grass.
Oh,
Squaw
Huh.
grass. And Beard of the Mountain is the title for this one. Mountain daisies and mimulus.
pretty.
Lupin.
That's a
Lupin.
nice shot.
Yeah. Oh, a matter of fact, I have a demonstration I do for people at restoring slides, and I use this one because this was bright red. I mean, you look at it and go, there's nothing there, and you bring this back and you go, wow. So
Which program did you use?
I scanned it on first. These do not fit in the Nikon scanner, so I have to scan them on the Epson flatbed scanner, and I restored it in Photoshop. So I used a combination of tools there. One is called Digital Recovery of Color, which was a Kodak plugin, which is not sold anymore. And then I also used some manual adjusting of curves and that sort of stuff.
You could teach this.
Colorful carpet. With our daughter living up in Washington, I got to get up there and go see the wildflowers in person. So we have 2 more sets of these. So we'll go and take a real quick visit to the world's famous Clydesdales. They would sell this on any of the Busch theme parks. Clydesdales at Pasture. The majestic Clydesdale.
They're huge.
Oh, they are, aren't they? Look
Oof.
at the size of this thing. Shoeing a Clydesdale. The Hitch at Grant's Farm.
I took my daughter to Grant's farm and we had our picture taken with one of the Clydesdales, and
Yeah,
they are gigantic.
Yeah.
My head
That's-
didn't even reach the withers. He
Yeah, we
was
had them taken
big.
at one of the facilities. I don't remember where it was. I have to go dig those out.
Yeah, there's a farm outside of St. Louis, my grand's farm, where they raise the younger ones and train them. Yeah, you get a picture next to one of the older Clydesdales. It's like massive horse.
Yeah, I do remember the sign saying "Careful, they bite."
No, they don't.
No,
Sign warned us. I guess they can be.
Well, they might. If you treat them right, they'll bite you. Yeah, but they're pretty gentle.
So
I mean, if you're going to be a jerk, yeah, he's going to bite you.
the way kids are these days, it would probably poke them in the eye and then.
Yeah,
sue.
people are such asses. They
Yeah.
really are.
So we're at our final stop of our tour. We're in Yellowstone National Park, the aerial view of the Lake Hotel.
That's my shirt I'm wearing.
Yellowstone Lake from Lake Butte. Fishing's great. The cutthroat trout. We took a boat ride out on the lake and really enjoyed it. What's amazing is one of the
Those
big
don't look
forests
like
that
cutthroat.
grew there destroyed so many of these trees, and there's the Forest Service just leaves them in place. And 30 years later, you still see all the skeletons of the trees there.
Those sure didn't look like cutthroat trout to me. They usually have, there's a reason they call them
Right.
cutthroat. There's an orange
Yeah.
yellow area
Right.
right out of the gills that makes them look like those are rainbow. Those aren't
Or I was thinking
cutthroats.
brown. I think they might be browns.
No, those are rainbows. They don't have enough of I don't see any of the orange speckle on them. Those are just rainbow.
Well, they lied. I looked at this one.
Rainbows usually don't have that many speckles.
Oh yes, they can.
This
I
always
guess they-
strikes me spinning
Right.
Marty visiting Yellowstone.
One time we went up Lewis Lake, and then you go up the Lewis River up to Shoshone, it's in total wilderness. We had our kayaks that we had made as Boy Scouts, and I caught a huge Mackinaw, and it dragged me all the way up to the North Shore. And then I was finally able to reel it in, and then I had to paddle all the way back to our camp.
Oh wow!
And it was like 2 a.m. or something like that when I got back.
Your Scoutmaster must have been as happy with you as they were with me. Aerial view of Cannon Village,
Yeah,
the brink of the Lower Falls,
Mm-hmm.
cool.
Lower Falls, Yellowstone River.
Yeah, I
Brink
think
of
that's the
Upper
most
Falls.
photographed picture in Yellowstone.
I would figure Old Faithful would be.
Maybe.
Yeah, hopefully that
Look it
shows
up.
up.
Wow, been there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we went there again first time in '67 with the Boy Scouts, and I've got pictures on my Philmont trip. We were out there early in the morning in our scout uniforms with our knee socks and everything. It was colder than hell. There was ice all over the ground. The steam was pouring up out of the vents and everything. It was just absolutely spectacular. So we went back there a number of years ago with the kids, who were absolutely disappointed that there was no television reception in the park. So there's no TV.
Ah!
So that ends our tour, and hope people saw some things of memories of their own tours. Let me just look here, chats real quick. And again, if you haven't been there, you got to go to some of these places. 3 chapels at the Kennedy Airport, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Oh,
it
by
says
the
the most
way-
photographed scene in Yellowstone is the Grand Prismatic Spring.
Grand Prismatic.
It says Old Faithful would
colorful.
be a close second.
Brent put in here a video about the plane that went off the runway. The airport bought the gas station, closed it down. Yeah, that was really close to a giant ass disaster. It was amazing. And Carolyn, every time I land there, I keep thinking we're going to land in somebody's backyard. Especially, I've flown my plane into Burbank Airport. Luckily, it's big enough runway for that. But you watch some of those others come in. Wow.
By the way, Admiral Television is actually still around. It's now called AOC, which stands for Admiral Overseas Corporation, and they still build televisions. They're sold at Walmart for one. They were owned for a while by Maytag and Montgomery Ward of all people. They went into a partnership and bought them out. But they still build TVs today. You can buy an AOC TV, you know, a widescreen, QLED, all that sort of stuff on the internet. I mean, they advertise on the internet, but they're still around, believe it or not.
Neat.
Hard to believe.
Now, Scott, you got a question. What president to date is the only Eagle Scout? What other president was a scout but didn't make Eagle? I don't know. So
Gerald
Phil,
Ford.
Gerald Ford was the
Yes.
Eagle and Kennedy was the Scout.
okay.
But what's interesting was that Gerald Ford, while he was in office, instead of just sending out congratulation letters, he would arrange with the Secret Service to pop into an Eagle Court of Honor if it was not too far from the White House.
Oh, wow. That's
And he
really
went
cool.
to
That'd be something.
he went to 2 or 3 or a few. Basically, they'd walk in, they say, we have a dignitary who has only like 30 seconds to take a picture with the boy. In comes the president. The boy is shocked. The family is shocked. Stood there, was staying for a photo, handshake, hand them congratulatory card and probably a coin, and leave.
Yeah, he was the honorary president of the Boy Scouts, so that was perfect. That would have been really It's even better than my meeting Dwight Eisenhower, I think.
I
don't
couldn't, when I
know.
heard this story, I had to confirm it with someone at our council, and they said yes. He went, they know of at least 2 Eagle Court of Honors that he popped in on, but they think there were more.
Well, you know, all this time I was thinking of running for president and being the first Eagle Scout president, but now it's no sense doing it. So.
You don't want
I'll
that
vote for-
job.
I'll
Phil.
vote for
You
you.
don't want it.
Well, you know who's running for mayor in New York?
Yes,
Yeah,
Come
on the
on.
Republican side.
Curtis Sliwa.
Yeah, his claim,
Oh,
his managerial experience totals being a midnight manager in McDonald's in the South Bronx.
Well, then he go to survival school, but he would leave that.
Yeah,
This week, I
for
think
those that
I'll-
don't know, the South Bronx
oh,
back in the day was not a place you wanted to hang out on the streets.
oh God, no, Fort Apache, the Bronx.
Fort Apache was a little further north. That was in the 160s.
Well, just saying the
Uh,
whole general time period.
Oh, yeah.
I can remember taking Amtrak down from Albany. I had broken my leg and I couldn't drive, so I came down by train. And when we went through the Bronx, it was like, oh, please don't break down. No, it was just, oh God, looking at the train window was just terrible.
There is one block in the Bronx where they had put in housing similar to those like Levitt's. They had put in 20 units. It was a project. The houses to this day, most of them are still in the families that originally bought the houses, and they're still immaculate.
Hmm.
They're cleaning up around the area now, but
Yeah, no, a lot of areas go through absolutely terrible
Gentrification.
stuff and come back. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's interesting to see how some. I mean, like Bedford-Stuyvesant years ago. You know, you may appreciate this, Scott. My college roommate's father was a New York City fire captain, and they had to go and put cabs on the back of the hook and the ladder. They had to put protective cabs over the back because everybody would throw bricks and everything at the guys on the fire trucks. I mean, these guys are coming to put out the fires, so let's throw bricks at them. Well, Carol and I stayed in Bed-Stuy a couple of years ago, and it was actually, I mean, the house we were in, the people said, oh yeah, we paid $1.2 million for it. You know, I mean, it was a Airbnb sort of thing. And it was lovely. We went to some nice restaurants walking around the area. But back in the days I went to college, I wouldn't have gone into Bed-Stuy unless I was in an armored personnel carrier. And now,
I covered the Bronx from 1993, 94, and went back in 97, 99. But working midnights up there, if it wasn't for 2 of my lieutenants who knew the area like the back of their hands, because the borough of the Bronx is the only borough where you can make 3 right-hand turns and not be in the same place you started.
The streets.
Some of those streets are, oh, you could get terribly lost, even up in Riverdale, which is at the time a very swanky area. I actually set off some security systems up there when I got lost. But yes, the Bronx is turning around, and a lot of the residents who stayed are now being forced out due to gentrification.
Yeah. Well, most of the San Fernando Valley is done in a grid system. Then you get to my neighborhood, which we're all up in the hills and everything. And in the days before GPS, I live on right near a major exit road out of the valley. And on something like the day before the 4th of July, any 3-day weekend, the traffic gets backed up 3-4 miles down the road. It takes people an hour plus to get up. And we go up the back way and everything. And unfortunately with GPS, everybody else started coming up the back way. So I was able to get the city to say no left turns out of our neighborhood onto that major road. And the GPSs would, from 4 to 7 p.m. And the GPSs, a lot of them will lock it that it won't send people up that way. So it took me 3 years of getting petitions, going to the city council, making presentations. But now I go out there and people in the park go, hey, thank you, thank you. It worked out great.
You should run for mayor.
Oh God, no, no, no. I actually thought at one point several years ago about running for city council because the guy was getting turned out. And I asked, how much he had paid for his, his last campaign. I thought, God, I could write that on my checking account. But I was coming out of the post office, and the guy was coming out of the market next to us, and somebody started haranguing him about potholes in the street. And Greg was, yeah, okay, call the office, we'll get it taken care of. No, I want it done now. And I'm thinking, I don't need that crap. I mean, you walk, and then today, like, our last or 2 district attorneys ago, Jackie Lacey, really, really nice woman that my daughter worked for. The protesters would come to her house at 3 o'clock in the morning, shine laser beams through the window, pound on drums, use loudspeakers. I don't need that shit, frankly. It's just the world has become rude.
Bill, that's the first time you've ever used a dirty word here.
Oh God. Yeah.
Yeah, this is being recorded too.
Yeah, well.
Oh, turn the recorder off, quick.
Last night I was using a few in the street. Well, next week we have some more movies to go back to. I've got a bunch of them that are sitting here waiting. I've got to do I'm doing another presentation, part 2 on the Seattle World's Fair. I don't know if people came to the first one. That's the tough thing. You do these talks, you can't see who's on the other side. But I've been having a lot of fun going back through my pictures of Seattle and putting that together. So that's Thursday at 8 Eastern. I'll send something out about it if anybody wants to go to that. But if there's time permits to actually restore some films and get them done between now and then, I will do so. So hopefully folks have a good weekend, and hope the weather is good and cooperates. And now I've got to go and run errands, and we had to borrow a patrol car from one station because we didn't have enough for last night with everything going on. And I got to ferry it back to the other station because if they don't have it by dinner time, they're going to be real mad at me. So catch you folks later.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thanks,
Thanks,
Bill.
Bill. Thank you.
Thanks,
for
Bill.
being
See you
here.
next week.